Hello and welcome to the One About Podcast, a show where we see through epic film franchise rewatches each week. This week, we're finally finishing Star Wars and seeing the end to the so-called Skywalker saga, because we said we would. This is the one about Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I am your host, Dean. I also go by EndlessCola in places around the internet, and I am joined this week, as always, by the surprisingly not dead villain Jordan and the most convoluted MacGuffin ever himself, John. What's going on this week, guys?
I'm a convoluted MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm. You're made for one purpose.
One purpose only.
I gotta say, gentlemen, that we delayed this show, so it's been almost a week since I've watched this movie. It's a good thing I took extensive notes.
Your rage has subsided because it almost took a week, or what?
Like it's just like the finer details of the movie kind of slipped away over the course of the week. Like I'm looking at my notes, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I mean, you were pretty vibrant when you were messaging us while you were watching it.
He was so angry. Oh my god. I will say, like, while watching these movies, I've kind of let the finer details go by the wayside and more focusing on like the overarching plot that they were trying to convey. So I would be less angry if I didn't like the movie. You know what I mean? But with this one, as I promised, I took notes. So,
gentlemen, should we skip our rigmarole and jump right into this bad boy?
I'm saying get right into it. We're probably going to get into rigmarole while talking about the shit anyways. So let's just get it started.
All right. Well, I normally, as you know, I start by asking what you guys think. I don't really feel like I need to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to our ending bit. And I'm going to ask you guys, what is your Star Wars ranking of all the films after watching this movie?
Oh, shit. Let me pull up my notepad. Give me a second. It's here. It's here. There it is. Yep. Yep. All right. I'll go first. All right. So we got one. We got one.
Okay.
Say what you want. Suck a dick. 5. Rogue One.
Okay.
4, 3, Solo.
Okay.
6. 9, 2, 7, 8.
9, 2, 7, 8. So you think it's better than 2, 7, and 8?
Yes.
Okay.
Only for the fact that you get more action scenes that are more interesting than like 2, 7, and 8. Because like 2, the love story plot point takes away from anything, and like it's so heavy-handed in that movie that you can't really like enjoy the rest of the movie because of it. 7 and 8, like they would have ranked higher if like I just feel like they didn't just drop the ball so fucking hard, and like they were trying to start their own saga, so it wasn't as good as it could have been. Like there wasn't enough action to where I would have ranked them higher.
Okay.
Like when it gets to like a point where I don't like a movie because of like how the story is told or portrayed to me, the only saving grace is like, is there good action scenes? Is there good fight scenes? Like, is it like these are only saving grace that you give me if you don't hold up on the storytelling side of it.
Jordan.
Mine is 5, Rogue One, 4, 3, 1, 6, 7, 2, Solo, 8, 9.
Oh, so you think it's the worst?
I think that if I wasn't a Star Wars fan and I went and saw this movie, I think that I would have had a lot of fun, and I would have thought that, that's not that bad. But I know way too much about Star Wars to sit through this and not just be upset. Because I was very upset watching it in theaters, and I was very upset watching it now. I just can't ignore all of the neck-breaking character motivation and writing in this movie. It's just, just we'll get to it, but so many things in this movie happen that are pointless to set up pointless things. And you mentioned the MacGuffin. It is the strongest MacGuffin I've almost ever seen in my entire life. That's some Power Rangers shit plot right there, not Star Wars. Like, you know, that would happen in that'd be an episode of Power Rangers, not Star Wars. So I'm just too mad at it. And I think that 8 actually, if you remove all the Star Wars aspects of it, I think 8 is just a better film. It's got better pacing, it's shot better, has better dialogue, better character motivation, the slight character development that was included within it, removing the horrible casino scene, of course. But I think that 8 is just functionally a better movie than 9 is, where 9 just tries to... Like, you could honestly just throw in 8's plot in the scroll of 9 and nothing will be lost. Because 9's scroll already is just ridiculous where it starts you off.
it is an intense first line of the opening crawl. So this is what I will say. Last week, before watching this movie, my list was 4, 5, 1, Rogue One, 3, Solo, 6, 2, 7, 8. And if you had asked me before rewatching this movie where I would put 9, it would have been so far below 8, it might as well not even exist. Now, having rewatched this movie, my list is 4, 5, 1, Rogue One, 3, 9, Solo, 6, 2, 7, 8.
How dare you? How dare both of you?
You know what's really funny?
I can't believe this crap right now.
No, Jordan, like
I can't believe both of you.
Is like Dean and I rarely agree on anything, especially when we're critiquing like media that we watch. That's why I think this is probably the funniest shit I've ever experienced. I'm really glad that we did this. Like, this is like the one thing is like, oh God, I hate Dean so much. We can never agree on anything, but we did agree on Star Wars.
What was your list again, Dean?
4, 5, 1, Rogue One, 3, 9, Solo, 6, 2, 7, 8.
Unreal.
I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I had a lot of fun and enjoyed the movie. Like, straight up.
Fuck you. You're bullshitting me again, dude. There's no way.
He's Jordaning it up for you.
Yeah, you're being me again. Both of you are. Fuck, you're the dyad. What the hell's wrong with both of you?
I thought it was fun, dude. Like, I told you right before I started the
movie.
movie.
Solo above 6.
Dude, Solo was above 6 last week. We had this conversation last week where you said it was not even debatable that Solo was better than 6, even though I just told you that I like Solo better than 6, and thus it is absolutely debatable.
Oh, that's right. We did argue about that. Solo is definitely not above 6 for me.
But like I told you guys right before I started watching this movie, I went in with a totally open mind and forgot about how much I fucking hated this movie the first time I watched it. And even though the way the scroll starts, I was really upset, like, instantaneously, I let it go and just let the movie wash over me. And I had a lot of fun. I thought it was cool.
Yep. I totally get that. Like, if you get bogged in the details of the movie, like, you're not going to have a good time. 100%.
No.
Like... And, like, it's like that with most sci-fi movies. Like, if you get bogged down in the details of, like, science behind it, like, why do they do this, why do they do that? Yeah. And other than that, like, it's still a fun, enjoyable ride to a certain extent.
With that kind of logic, 2 and 7 should be a lot higher on both of your lists then.
No.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't watch 2 and 7 the same way. Like, I was watching them critically, whereas this movie I just watched as a movie. I was watching it like with a critical eye. Like, I made some notes about some things that are just absolutely retarded. But I was more harsh on 2 and 7. If I went and rewatched them now, maybe that would change, but 2 is just a bad movie, dude. Like, that movie sucks.
Yeah. It's
Like,
because
maybe I might bump 7 and 8 above 2 if I rewatch them now, which I'm definitely not going to do. But 2 is just bad. Like, there's no saving that movie.
yeah, it's all because it wasn't even a subplot of the love triangle. Like, that was the whole point of the movie. It's like everything else was just filler. You needed to know why Anakin did what he did in 3, so they needed to like accentuate how much they in love those two were to you, the audience.
Speaking of which, that line that Sidious has when he's first being revealed in this movie, where he's like, the dark side is a path to things that they call a net. I was like, fuck, that's a cool ass throwback. Like, that's how you harken back to a previous movie. That was fucking rad. Speaking of fucking rad, Zombie Palpatine is badass, dude. Like, straight up on the marionette and shit. And he's just like, and he's still intimidating, even though he's coming out on a pole arm and shit.
I hate both of you.
You know, it's actually Warwick on the back end of Palpatine. He's actually controlling the whole thing. Straight up.
He's inside him, like, literally controlling him.
You're just gonna see a little hand. Like, have you ever watched Total Recall, where Homeboy opens his chest and he has that little, like, the little mutant
Quato or whatever it's called?
Yeah, growing out of his stomach. That's gonna be Warwick outside of Palpatine. That's gonna be in the director's cut.
Fucking Warwick Davis is the real villain in all of this,
dude. Like, so that scene with Palpatine was cool and dumb to me at the same time, because it's like, yes, you're a puppet master and everything like that, but why would you make the same mistakes that you did before, manipulating people? Like, you're in this position again. Like, you're on a marionette tied to a whole bunch of machines to keep you alive because you're doing exactly what you did in the previous saga. Like, why? I don't understand. It just it makes it seem like Palpatine doesn't learn from his mistakes. Either that, or he's just the most arrogant, hubris being ever on the face of the universe, which I can believe. But still, it borders on the line of stupidity for someone with such Machiavellian schemes that worked out in his favor in the past.
It kind of makes Palpatine out as like this extraordinarily lucky villain. Like, he's really actually kind of dumb, but it just keeps working out.
He just works out in his favor. He actually has plot armor, but from the antagonist side of the story,
which, if you guys recall, is something that we talked about in the prequels. That Palpatine is like, he just kind of he does shit that should get him killed, like, all the time. And it just kind of happened to work out. And then fucking Jordan over here is like, well, you see, the thing is that Palpatine was ultimately scheming and knew this was going to happen. He saw it through the Force, guys. And what happened was...
So, I'm going to back up Jordan here. He did not sound like that. Didn't appreciate that one bit.
Thanks, Sean.
No problem. I got you, man.
Not backing up his arguments at all. Just like, that's not what he sounded like.
No, but no. When we had this argument, I agreed with you. Like, legit, if Anakin was, what was it, like, what did I say? It was like 30 seconds to like a minute later, Palpatine would have been dead. Like, Mace Windu had that Negro dead to rights. He was not taking any of his bullshit. He was about to say all the motherfuckers while dancing with his decapitated head on the floor. Like, it, and like, again, if Anakin did not show up, on top of, if Anakin wasn't in the mindset to where he was just like, okay, you're going to save Padme, so I have to kill this guy, he would have died. Or at least been imprisonated, at the very least.
Imprisonated.
Imprisoned? I told you I was going to be sauced for this fucking thing.
I can't believe either of you right now.
It's
I'm
fine.
so mad at both of
He's
you.
so incensed.
I am so mad at both of you right now.
Seething with rage.
You're acting like we
So-
haven't just watched like 10 Star Wars movies. You're gonna come into this and go, it was fun. They were flying and
No.
there was Wookiees and there was
No.
a big snake. Like you're gonna
No.
act like nothing
So-
makes any difference.
So I'm going to go ahead and just drop this audio clip into the Discord for you guys. I'm going to play it here for our audience, but you guys can listen to it on your own. And I think it'll be an entertaining little bit to jump into this conversation with. I can't imagine that we're going to come to the table next week and be like, you know what?
Better than I
That
thought
was
it was
actually
going to be.
No,
Pretty fucking
surprisingly classy.
that's
Yeah.
some shit that I would do,
With
but I
monocles
promise
on and
I'm not gonna
everything.
do it.
Dude,
I promise I'm not gonna do it.
you can't
There's no
fucking
way.
help yourself. God damn it. Jesus Christ. I didn't even like the fact that yes, we're not just shitting all over it. It's because I knew if I came into this like a critical like an analytical like just nitpicking at every part of the story, I wouldn't get through the first 30 minutes. I would not get through the first 30 minutes. I'd literally just shut it off and just be like, this is a terrible movie. On top of the fact that, no, it's not a terrible movie. It's a terrible Star Wars movie. And I wouldn't be able to watch it. Because,
I agree.
like, it comes back to my arguments when we're talking about 8. And how they just dropped the ball and, like, wasted so much potential. This movie is the epitome of that statement. There's so much they could have done with whatever plot threads that they had set up with this movie, and they just made all of the wrong decisions, in my opinion. Like, the cinematography was gorgeous, the scenes that they shot were really great, the action scenes, the fight scenes were great. But when you start actually like thinking about the movie, how everything comes together, awful. Just straight awful. Like,
but if you consider that they note in this movie that Palpatine has been planning for this contingency the whole time, it all kind of melds into this perfect little. What do you mean?
Where'd
They
that
say
come
it
from?
in the movie. He's
Huh?
just been planning this the whole time.
Where'd that come from? No,
yeah.
even that line itself was horseshit because he had just told Kylo to go kill her,
Yeah.
so she
He's
was the backup
so
plan.
angry.
Because he's right though. He's right.
And to back up my thoughts on episode 3. The only part in episode 3 that Palpatine was not in control was when the cruiser was crashing down into Coruscant and you saw it on his face. That was the moment that if he overestimated their ability, they all would have died and it would have been over. But he took, once again, I will say it again, he took calculated risks. Of course, he could have came out on the wrong end of those risks, but he took a chance. It was a calculated risk. He didn't just throw caution to the wind. He knew that, okay, well, Anakin's going to come back in time or he's not. And if I want to rule the universe, he has to kill Mace Windu. And he has to become my
like,
surprise.
right-hand
It
man.
turns
That's the
out
only
that
way it's
like he
gonna
could have
happen.
been killed in cold blood. Didn't matter. He just jump into his Snoke clone.
Yeah.
He's got a whole test tube full of them.
Test tube of snow clones. Yeah.
I have so many problems with this movie, and I took a
sleep
nap
it
after
off.
I watched it.
Had to sleep it off.
I told you, Dean. I wrote my notes, which are extensive. It's the most notes of any of the movies that we've seen so far, by maybe double, or at least 25% more than the rest of them. Like half, like 50 or like 25% more. I finished the movie. I took a nap. I woke up just in time for the recording, pissed off. So I am ready to talk about the failings of this movie. And there are many. Can you imagine? Just imagine for me. Imagine watching Star Wars Episode 8 and being one of those people And I do respect these people. I think that they have a lot of willpower, more than I do. But being one of these people that are like, I don't want to see anything about episode 9. I don't want to watch trailers. I don't want to read articles. I don't want to talk to friends. I want to be surprised by what
like me?
episode 9 brings to me. Imagine not seeing the trailer.
I don't have to imagine what you're describing.
The trailer to episode 9. I'm just setting it up. Going into episode 9 and not knowing anything about Palpatine, not watching the trailer, hearing his voice, nothing. When the first fucking line in the scroll is "The dead speak," and it starts talking about how Palpatine's back. That is so neck-breakingly jarring when you're going from episode 8 to episode 9, and they just spew this horrible scroll out to you that has to make up for the last year's gap in the story, but it just is so much information that they cram down your throat to get the story into any reasonable position to
So let me ask
continue.
you this. If instead of opening the crawl with and for context, the opening paragraph of the crawl says, "The dead speak. The galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast, a threat of revenge, and the sinister voice of the late Emperor Palpatine." If instead of doing that, episode 8 had it has that ending scene where the little kid with the broom like uses the Force or whatever, it's super cute, and he like opens his resistance ring and like, oh, the hope for the future of the Jedi that never amounts to anything. Cool. If that scene happens and then like over the intercoms in that little bay that he's in, like you can see it being broadcast across galaxy, we hear that broadcast, and then the movie just cuts to black and the credits roll. If they had done that, would you be softer on this decision?
I would have been really mad at episode 8 for doing that. After watching it all and then going, hey, Palpatine's coming. Hey, who's that laugh? Who's that laughy boy? You hear him? That's Palpatine. He's a meanie. That would piss me off probably a lot. What the right course of action would be is to know all of this before we write a fucking trilogy and have the entire chase scene I already mentioned this in the last episode, but the entire chase scene of episode 8 removed, that whole like 40-minute block removed, and then 25% of this movie, episode 9, absorbed into episode 8. That's what should have happened. A lot of like finding the Sith Wayfinders, Kylo on that random planet in the beginning, killing those random aliens. Who? Why? Okay, cool. Just all that kind of stuff. Leia training Rey being more than just a freaking Rocky montage, and then her giving up and giving her back the lightsaber, and then literally 2 minutes later in the same fucking scene, she gives the lightsaber back because that's the type of neck-breaking like character, like a plot that I'm talking about. It's just it's just terrible. Like JJ, I think what happened was that JJ knew the trilogy in the 7th movie. And then okay, I'm hardcore benefit of the doubt. JJ knew where he wanted the trilogy to end up, right? And then he maybe told Rian Johnson, this is not what happened, but it just feels like this. Like he set up in episode 7 the trilogy. Rian Johnson took the script, took the ideas, and went, nah, and then wrote a marker around the entire script. And then JJ then had 2 scripts. His episode 8 that he thought would transition nicely into his epic episode 9 finale with Palpatine. But JJ instead had to take 2 whole movie scripts, smash them together, and then throw in the worst C-3PO dialogue I've ever heard in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And that's what episode 9 feels like.
First of all, given that episode 7 was a train wreck all its own, you're giving him way too much credit.
Wasn't a train wreck. I know, I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying that's what it feels like. It feels like episode 7 had the beginnings of some possible cohesive trilogy, and then episode 8 just took a complete diversion from that. And then they had to like recap episode 9 or just like rebound after 8 and then cram all of this shit that they wanted to include. Like they storyboarded it all out. They're like, okay, Rey's a Palpatine and Palpatine had made clones, and Snoke was Palpatine. But he doesn't know about the dyad. We'll explain that in episode 8. Don't worry, we'll have more than enough time to explain it. It'll make total sense. And then all this other shit, huge plot points, and yeah, they just had to cram all that shit together, and they just assume that the viewer would just understand. They would just understand it. They would just go along with it. How Luke and Lando couldn't fucking find something that was 100 yards away from the ship that they were looking for, and someone else talk. I'm getting so mad. Thank God Mandalorian came out. Like, think about it. Mandalorian came out a few months before this, and that introduced force healing through the little baby Yoda, our child
you
savior.
Didn't like the fact that Rey
in the
force
manger,
healed that
and
little, like,
Rey
anaconda thing. You didn't like that? Yeah.
I mean, everyone can force heal in this movie, you know? And like, imagine how jarring it would have been to see that without watching Mandalorian first. To just be, oh, we're force healing now. Okay, cool. We're just blowing up the force. Everyone's got force powers. Oh, hey, Finn, what'd you want to tell her? What did you want to? Oh, we're just never gonna fucking talk about that. Okay. Oh, but Finn's force sensitive. Oh, so's the other company of stormtroopers that apparently rebelled. Oh, another entire company of stormtroopers just didn't want to be troopers anymore. Let's not talk about that at all. Give them any character development. Let's just put them on horse warthogs and have them run on the top of fucking Star Destroyers, which that was kind of cool, and they looked kind of cool, but it was ultimately stupid.
Compliment this movie at all? Like, no, it's kind of cool, but damn it still sucks.
There's like visually. There are so many, John, you called it, like, visually this movie is really good. It has incredible fight scenes. It looks awesome, but they just force these fucking plot points down your throat, man. It didn't have to be, like, finding Palpatine didn't have to be this complicated. Like, they could have skipped the entire Wayfinder and the entire, like, complexity of Exegol. Like, they could have had a far simpler way to get to Palpatine that didn't involve a quarter of the movie being finding this MacGuffin to go and just, get our rocks off because, oh my God,
it's for real, dude?
Like, Death Star's
after
so cool.
That bullshit
And
they pulled in episode 7, you expect me to believe that it's super easy to find Palpatine, who's been ducking everybody for 30 years? It had to be that complicated.
I'm just saying,
Palpatine and Skywalker were super hard to find because they didn't want to be found. That's the whole point.
It's amazing how easy it is to dodge everybody.
Shit that Luke and Lando couldn't figure it out.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Like,
I'll stop talking.
This is the whole point of this is to vent
thoroughly
the entire time.
But like going back into like 8, like
this is therapy.
I would have rather them had Snoke be Darth Plagueis, and he's trying to kill Rey.
Yes,
he's trying to kill Rey to get back at Sidious. Sidious is on his deathbed, so he teams up with Rey, but he has this back end plot that he's gonna manipulate Rey into killing him to where he could take over her body. Like, that would have made more sense. It would have been a lot cooler. It would have delved you further into the mythos, and like you.
It would have been you're right. It would have been so much deeper. It would have been more daring. Your check's in the mail, dude. Okay? That's a way better idea than all this bullshit. It's so much better of an idea. It's way deeper than just reality. I get it. You want the symbolism. You want to parallel Sidious from episode 6. You want his hubris to be his downfall. That's the moral of the story. Well, that's one of the morals that they try to ham down our throat. But I get it. I understand like what they want, right? But it could have been done so much better. Like, the ultimate moral of the Star Wars story is that no one's irredeemable. That's like supposed to be kind of the idea of it, right? Vader was redeemable. Kylo was inevitably redeemable, although okay. But like that's supposed to be a large moral guide to these movies. And they just missed it. Like, they could have even made Palpatine redeemable if they went with your plot, John. It would have been hard. I'm not saying it would have been easy, but if you really used 2 movies to show how Plagueis was maybe manipulating, or Plagueis was worse than Palpatine.
The need for balance.
The issues with the dark side now, like something. Maybe on his deathbed he finally understands what the true balance of the Force is. I don't know.
It would have been way better. It's
so
like
much
you
more
would
depth
have
there.
Plagueis manipulating Kylo Ren, with Sidious manipulating Rey, and then them fighting each other, and then you got these 2 dark side masters fighting each other. And then, like, you could have it could be a predictable scene where, like, Rey's about to get taken out by Darth Plagueis when they switch opponents, and Sidious, like, jumps in front and, like, takes the blow for him. And then, like, in that, he becomes, like, slightly redeemable. But Ben Solo, Kylo Bitch Ren's redemption arc in this movie is super unearned for me. Like, it's unearned. Like,
it's very unearned. I agree.
He killed so many people. All he did was, like, basically take over for Snoke, and, like, wanted to rule the galaxy. He killed his own fucking father, one of the coolest guys that everybody loved. And he's just like, okay, I'm going to redeem myself by fighting the Knights of Ren and trying to help out Rey.
And the only reason that you knew they were the Knights of Ren is because a fucking stormtrooper was like, oh, the Knights of Ren, cool. Fuck off with that bullshit. It's the same shit I've been complaining about the entire sequel trilogy.
So
no exposition, no explaining.
I mean, like,
I
there
am
are a few
angry.
things that he has a right to be angry about. Like, I totally agree. Like, that's why I had to watch this movie through different lenses. But in the back of my mind, I was like, doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Like, this redemption arc is totally unearned and, like, seems like haphazardly put together. Like,
So
mm-hmm.
If I can offer a different perspective for a moment.
Hell no, you can't. Either you hate it or you leave the podcast now.
It's not my perspective.
Okay.
So I watched all of these movies with my wife. And when we got to that scene where, like, they take out Palpatine and Rey dies, and then Ren saves her, and then he dies, and they kiss, and all of that. I was in the same boat as you guys. I was like, are you fucking kidding me with this right now? Like, is this really... There's a love interest? Okay. But she's over there like, are they gonna... He's bringing her back? Are they gonna... Oh, they're kissing. Yeah! And she fucking lost it, dude. She was way into it. I was like, what the fuck? And she's like, I've been waiting 3 movies for them to kiss.
No, Connie, no.
I know someone else like that who's a hardcore Kylo Ren apologist, and they had the same perspective too. Like, they were really big on the on the love story between them, which is not super confirmed, but kind of at that moment, right? I thought to myself, wouldn't it be the funniest fucking thing if Kylo, or excuse me, Ben at that time, Ben gives his life to save her. She wakes up and says, oh my God, and then she gives her life to save Ben, and then Ben wakes up and he's like, oh no, and it gives his life to save. Like, they keep going back and forth, just trading souls.
And then
just forever.
Finn and Poe just show up and they're just watching this shit happen. Just like,
fortunately, though,
should we stop them?
We didn't have to get subjected to that because he turned into a Force ghost because he redeemed himself.
Oh!
Why? Well, that's something you have to learn. How does you just
because
know how to do it?
Of the Force, which nobody has ever
seen. He's a dyad, man. Everything is explained because they're a dyad in the Force. It's perfect.
No, because technically all Jedi would be a dyad in the Force. Like, everybody has good and bad in them of equal measure. Like, this is stupid.
That's not what that means.
Now, what does it mean? Explain it to me then.
You have to learn how to become a Force ghost. That's like one of the Jedi
You know what?
things that they do, right? Like that's just like something. Oh God!
I mean,
Come to me.
to be fair, we've never seen somebody who's a dyad in the Force try to become a Force ghost before. Maybe they don't need to learn it.
They're just teleporting shit back
No,
and forth
hold
through the
up, hold up.
Force.
I need to take a step back.
That scene was, yeah.
What is a dyad in the Force? I need an explanation. Like, what did you look it up? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, I could.
They don't
Look it up, please.
They don't give you much. As the movie explains it, they're just interconnected. Their fate and their force is just interconnected. Like that's essentially the explanation you get from the movie.
Well,
that the power of
let me help you guys out.
Please.
Oh,
a dyad in the Force was a phenomenon that occurred when two Force-sensitive beings shared a unique Force bond with each other, connecting their minds across space and time. Physically, they were two separate individuals, but in the Force, they were one. This form of connection made it possible for the bonded individuals to communicate with each other across great distances. The connection between Kylo Ren and Rey could cover a range of light years, allowing them to see and hear each other from across the galaxy. Their bond also gave them a clear sense of what the other felt, such as their fears as well as feelings of abandonment and solitude. In combat, when the two formed the dyad and fought as one, their force powers mirrored and amplified each other. Their bond grew stronger with every passing moment. A dyad in the Force, binding two separate beings together, was not easily discernible as a phenomenon. Hence, Darth Sidious did not realize it until drawing Rey and Ben in order to slay them and subconsciously extracting a fraction of their energy despite being able to attain Ren's mind, who had learned of their bond before the Emperor did himself. Snoke, in turn, sensed his apprentice's connection to a being in the light, whereas he incorrectly supposed it was Luke Skywalker rather than the scavenger girl.
Oh, so basically what you're saying is a dyad in the Force is a strong connection between two people of the Force, more so than Luke and Leia, Luke and Darth Vader. That
we don't know of any other dyad besides this.
No, I'm talking about
other...
just like being a strong connection between two people, but strong enough to amplify their powers.
Like there is something literally connecting them force-wise, and they're the only ones in the Star Wars, well, in the canonical movies that have a dyad. I'm not aware of anyone else having a confirmed dyad. Yeah, it's high. We're getting to some fucking anime territory right now with a lot of this.
Yeah. Like
this was the most.
To be fair,
anime Star Wars movie.
Hold up, let me take my shot real quick. This is a 2-shotter. Oh yeah.
To be fair, the way they use the Force in all three of the Sequel Trilogy movies is some straight anime shit. Like, they cranked it up to 11 from the very beginning of these sequels.
You right.
Yep.
Vodka was a poor choice.
Vodka is always a poor choice.
You're right. I should have done tequila, but we didn't have any. I'm sorry. But anyways, no, it just seems like that was just really
lazy?
Like, yeah, it was really lazy because, like, if you think about it, like, for two random individuals who really aren't connected in any way to have such a strong connection to each other that it creates, like, this unseen, untapped power that nobody, including Darth Sidious, who's basically seen every fucking thing under the sun.
I mean, he's just a human. He hasn't seen that much.
Dude, with the way that this nigga was plotting shit, like, he's basically seen everything under the sun when it comes to the dark side and the light side of the Force.
Well, I mean, he instantly knew what a dyad was. Like,
that's what I mean.
He was
Like,
only caught off guard by the fact that they were a dyad. He knew what
Yeah.
it was.
Am I-
It wasn't
It's just
like,
like-
oh my god, what's this?
Yeah, it's like he heard about it in Force Whispers. Like he read his books while he was up there being a marionette puppet.
So, okay. Either I have missed an incredible plot point, or this is a huge plot hole. And
Okay.
I actually don't know the answer to this yet. I haven't looked at it.
Can't wait.
But, so, Palpatine didn't know about the dyad. And this immediately pissed me off after I watched the movie for the first time. He didn't know about the dyad.
Yeah.
But in the same movie in the beginning, he says, I have in every voice. And then you hear him throughout this little monologue. He's Snoke's voice, and then he's Vader's voice. And I think that was like only... Yeah. He just he changes his voice. Basically saying, I've been every voice in your
Manipulating
head.
you, yes.
Right? Yeah,
Bro,
I've been manipulating
I made a note
you.
about that. I was like, man, he'd make a killer ventriloquist.
Stop.
Like, he was throwing his voice, doing perfect impersonations.
If he was there the whole time, and I still must be confused over what Snoke is. Is Snoke just a puppet that Palpatine is or was using to just kind of live through, right? Like, was Snoke just being run by Palpatine, right? So, like, was he aware of every action? Was he controlling Snoke? And if that's true, then he should have known about the dyad. 100%. At the end of episode 8, he should have known about the dyad because Snoke thought it was Luke, but it was clearly Rey, right? Or did Snoke still think that it was Luke at that time, even when Rey killed him?
So, if you had paid attention when I gave you my expert analysis of what a Force dyad was, I noted that Snoke sensed his apprentice's connection to the light, but incorrectly supposed it was to Luke Skywalker. In other words, he didn't know that he had a dyad with Rey, nor did he know that he was connected with Rey at all. So, even if, where I'm supposing you're going with this, that
Wait,
if Snoke...
nope. Hold on. In episode 8, though, Snoke specifically says it was I that bridged your minds.
Yeah.
So
I was
that
about
implies
to bring that up. Yeah.
that implies that Snoke was the one that initially helped or enabled their communication through the dyad, right?
Connection. Yep.
Yes.
So that's why I'm fucking confused. I don't know. I feel like Palpatine should have known this. He shouldn't have just been surprised and go, oh shit, a dyad. I'm going to use a new force ability that no one's ever heard of again, and I'm going to be a fucking Dementor and just suck the life out of you. Like, it was so jarring that he didn't know this already.
Jordan, I have to applaud you on the apt adjective of Dementor for describing what he was doing during that point.
Even the CG was the same shit. It was like
Yeah.
straight up Dementor.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Ridiculous.
But but again, as I said, a dyad in the Force binding two separate beings together was not easily discernible as a phenomenon. Hence, Darth Sidious did not realize it until going full Dementor on their ass.
Okay, sure. I'll accept that as a canon. Whatever. I have to. But
I mean,
I'm
it is
still-
canon, so...
I'm still just concerned about Snoke's line where he was the one that bridged their minds. That was because that to me means that he was aware of the dyad, because the dyad, that connection in the Force, was the ability that was enabling them to speak with one another, to communicate.
So a few things. One, he could have connected them with the Force without knowing that they were a dyad, and that's the power that they had inherently anyway.
True.
And two, you can have different kinds of Force bonds without being a dyad. In fact, as it turns out in the EU canon, Sidious and Tyrannus created a Force bond that fucked with Yoda in the prequels, and that's why he couldn't see what was really going on. That's their explanation for that. So, like, the fact that he had a Force bond with Rey, or as Snoke supposed Luke Skywalker didn't mean anything. It didn't mean that he had a dyad. He didn't know that.
Yeah, it's more the fact that he kind of facilitated his own downfall.
Snoke did? Or Sidious?
Snoke slash Sidious. Because remember, Snoke is Sidious. Like we can't talk about them as they're two different people anymore.
I mean, yeah, we can.
Totally can't.
Because they're clearly two different people.
Nope.
Like, Snoke doesn't even look like Sidious.
First of all, Snoke is a puppet of a puppet, and the master is Sidious.
Yeah.
Dean, I love that your explanation or your justification is borderline shit that I have to do to make sense of a lot of the Star Wars narratives, and I get shit all over. Be like, oh, there's different force bonds. Oh, he didn't know. Like, it just we shouldn't have to go this far. We shouldn't have to be this particular.
In my defense, I'm not making shit up like you do. Like, this is official canon for Star Wars. I'm just telling you the facts like I do every episode.
A bunch of bullshit there.
Do I or do I not always have Wikipedia and alternate sources up to tell you guys shit every episode? Do I or do I not, Jordan?
Every episode.
Thank you. But my disappointment is immeasurable. Right
Your
now.
day is ruined.
And my day is ruined. It's just, I don't even.
He's just so broken.
I'm just so like, I'm just so sad. Like, I would have preferred some generic ass ending over this.
Let me ask you this: can we all just agree that, like, the Star Destroyers rising out of the ground was a fucking awesome visual?
Visually, yes. Conceptually, fucking stupid.
Like, I'm like, the worst part is, like, I have to agree with Jordan, because, like, visually and, like, just the cinematography of this movie, everything in it looks great. Awesome. Mm-hmm. But when you start thinking about it, it becomes fucking stupid.
The Kylo Ren and Rey lightsaber fight in the ocean on the discarded part of the second Death Star, visually cool as shit. Awesome. That was a really awesome lightsaber duel. How Kylo lost, conceptually, fucking dumb.
Yeah, and then the fact after she stabbed him, she's like, "Oh, I did a bad thing. Let me heal him." And like,
well, because she realized what happened.
Yeah, I get it. She realized what happened. She healed him, and then like after that, like, this nigga had to get stabbed in the stomach and healed from a mortal wound, and his mother dying to be like, maybe I'm doing a bad thing. Maybe I should turn to the good side.
No, pump the brakes.
My ways.
I'm gonna hardcore stop you there.
Please do.
His entire character is wrapped up in how he's fighting against being good in all three of these movies. To say that he just randomly flipped sides at the end is just categorically wrong.
He went pretty hard evil at the end of episode 8. Like,
and at the beginning of this movie, like, he was hard, like, he was bad,
just
dude, like,
murdering. Yeah, like, it was.
He was like some Vader level evil in this shit.
Yeah,
the problem.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I was just gonna say that I understand the redemption, and they wanted to use the classic, death and rebirth trope. I think, like, that's what it was supposed to symbolize: his death, being killed by his own blade, and then his rebirth through Rey's kindness or whatever, purity, and then after that, he died Kylo Ren, then he was reborn as Ben. Jesus, sorry, and yeah, he was reborn as Ben Christ, and I understand it. I get it. Cool, neat. It's just disappointing again because they didn't bring this to an inevitable turn, right? Like, they didn't have to have such a awkward and jarring moment, like he killed his father and then he was still like, yeah, I'm awesome. And then he went and kind of killed Luke, or he knew that he was dead afterwards, and he was trying to kill everybody. And he intentionally almost killed his mother, but then someone else shot, but he was still kind of okay with it anyway. And then at the beginning of this movie, he was just murdering people to get to a fucking wayfinder. Like, he just went, like, he got worse as the movies went on. And he was peak evil in the beginning of this movie, and then just like a light switch, they're just like, oh, well, he died Kylo and was reborn as Ben. And then he chucked his lightsaber in the ocean like a fucking idiot. Because thank God the dyad, because the Knights of Ren would have beat the shit out of him. But
once again, not wrong, Jordan.
Bro, they just rolled up on him like, what now, punk?
Yeah. He had no remorse for killing his childhood friends at all. He was just like, yep, this is how we do it. Okay,
what
you
childhood
next.
Friends?
The Knights of Ren. He left
the Knights of Ren aren't his childhood friends.
Knights of Ben. Get it straight.
They were around when he burned the Jedi Temple down and everything. Weren't they other students?
No. They were a totally separate group that was already called the Knights of Ren.
Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about
I told you about this. What was it?
Yeah.
On the episode 8 episode?
Remember, he took over the Knights of Ren after he killed somebody or whatever?
He killed Ren.
Yeah. So that's how they became Knights of Ben. Once again, get it straight.
Jordan's so mad that he can't even remember what we talked about 2 weeks ago.
It's totally fine, because I get it. Because, I mean, yes, Dean, I know, like, it's been a central theme that he's been, like, at an impasse between if he wants to, like, be the dark side or light side, but they didn't make it seem like that way in the movies. Like, he wasn't really hesitant killing Han Solo, his father. He wasn't really hesitant in killing Snoke, his mentor, and his subordinates, and taking over everything. On top of the fact, like, after he was, like, relieved of Snoke's influence, he's like, Rey, join me and let's rule the fucking galaxy together. That's not some good side shit. Then in the beginning of the movie, he's killing what is like Ewok droid hybrids or some shit. And he's he's got the most meanest face. I mean, he's doing it cool as shit. Like, he's styling on them. But again, like, it doesn't seem like he's really battling with the decision that he's part of the dark side.
Well, I mean, if your argument is wrapped up in his actions, then I guess you're right. Like, he doesn't do many things that one would consider good. But he constantly talks about, and we can see his internal turmoil over the course of the entire trilogy. Like, there's no question that he's fighting with his choices and whether or not he can be good. And in fact, it's not the end, but towards the end, when he's talking to Han Solo's ghost, which now regular ass humans can be Force ghosts, but we're not even going to get into that.
Oh, no, you don't want to get into that?
No, I don't want to touch that.
You don't want to dip your toe in that? Nope, not even a little bit?
Not yet. He comments about how he can't go back because of what he's done and the fact that they're both dead and all this. Like, implying that his greatest turmoil is wrapped up in the fact that he's done so many things that he feels like he can't be redeemed anymore. Not in that's like really how he feels. So my point is just that, like, I don't necessarily agree that he was redeemed either, but to sit there and say, like, they didn't set this turn up the whole way is just not true. Like, they did. We can have a discussion about how well they pulled that off, but to say that it didn't happen is just not true.
Yes, you are correct. They did set it up, but as you said, how well they set it up, awful. It's terrible. It's the worst.
I think
Could have been done
better. I think I got the whole Knights of Ren thing being in the Jedi Temple because in the 7th movie they had the flashback of the Knights of Ren. I think after they explained the temple falling, and it showed him joining them, I guess. I think I have that obviously in my head wrong, but I think that's where I got that from. But yeah, so he slaughtered him. Whatever. It was kind of cool that he went back in there with Was it Han's blaster that he had, or was it just a random blaster? I couldn't tell.
I don't remember. It's been too long.
All right, I thought it was pretty ballsy for him to just fucking come in guns drawn. Oh my god! And when when Rey like teleported her lightsaber to him, and then he had it behind his back, and he had that weird shrug, and he started taking them all out. Like, that was so fucking awkward.
Bro, what the first time he just like snatched her necklace out of thin air, I was like, he did what? That's by far and away the fucking craziest force power we've ever seen by a long shot.
Yep.
I was blown away. I was like, what the hell is that? He just snatched that out of thin air? And then Rey just goes, you know what? I bet you if I just drop this back here, he's just gonna get it. Like, what kind of balls does she have to be like, this is gonna work. It's gonna be fine.
That's a dyad. Deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I deal with it just fine. Like, I watched
I'm
it.
struggling.
Like, let me just put it to you this way. I watched this movie and I saw them explain everything to me, because they had so many things that they had to account for and tell me why this happened and why it's going this way and X, Y, and Z. And I sat there and I watched it and I went, okay, makes sense.
You know what? Like, as we're talking about this, I'm rewatching the last part of the movie again.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the only like very few saving graces of this movie that makes it entertaining, fucking Palpatine. He says all of the best lines that you could ever fucking say. He says, "Do it. The Jedi are dead. The Sith will be reborn." Like, so many good lines. Like,
and he whips out Force lightning into the entire sky and just wipes out bunches of ships. And like, talk about cranking Force powers up to 12.
Up to a million, dude. Like, dude, he makes this movie bearable. Straight up.
Palpatine was like channel 1 QVC. Act now and get all your classic Palpatine hits that you know and love,
100%.
such as "Do It."
See, that's okay.
Now with new zombie action.
New zombie action.
Like, that's what I mean. So, one of my main qualms from watching this movie, the first setting, that I had to like gloss over the second watch, was they are just pandering to fan service. Like, the fans hated 8. So it's like, we need to pander to the fans as hard as we can for them to like this movie. And they did it. They did it at, like, in every way imaginable.
John,
straight up.
You're so right. They pandered so hard that the first scene with Finn and Rose, he just gave her the most friendly fucking shoulder tap I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so cold.
It was so bad. And then on top of that, I kind of wanted to bring this up when you guys were talking about it earlier about the Kylo and Rey kiss. There were so many misdirects with the love interests in this movie, and I think that was done on purpose, or it was done because they had no idea who was going to end up with who. One or the other. Probably the latter.
I will just say this. They pandered so hard that they actually won me over.
Stupid. Dude, the final straw.
So much.
The final straw for my camel's back when I watched this movie is the ending scene when Rey's getting up and they like basically called every single famous Jedi from all of the movies to just do one fucking line. Oh my god.
They had everyone.
I was just like, no, I can't. I can't do it.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I notated every single one meticulously.
Thank you.
I rewatched the scene like 5 times to get them all. So, we got Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yo.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Yes.
Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker.
Of course they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mace Windu.
Yep.
Like
He didn't
Kanan
say enough
Jar-
motherfuckers in my opinion.
Kanan Jarrus out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. That's some Clone Wars shit.
Ahsoka Tano.
Yep.
Adi Gallia, which I was like, who the fuck is that? I had to look up who that even is. Ayla Sakura and Luminara Unduli. Now, those last three are all actually 4, 5 of those are all from the Clone Wars. So if you're big into Clone Wars, like a lot of people are, then that was really fucking cool.
They just got their net and tried to cast it as wide as they fucking could for that part.
And I ate that shit up, John. I was like, oh, there's Ahsoka, yes!
Oh my god.
I did see a better scene. So I watched, Dean, you may have seen this. I think I posted it in our Discord, but it's the same concept, except they're all Force ghosts behind Rey when she is fighting off the lightning and then brings a second saber. You see all of them as Force ghosts that are talking, and then they had like their hand raised out. That would have been.
That sounds so fucking trite, dude.
Oh my god!
Oh,
whatever.
Really?
I want to hear
trite?
that. No, that's way better. I'm gonna find it. You have to watch it. Give me chills.
That sounds so trite.
I'll watch it, but like it just sounds super trite. Like
it was so much better. Oh my god! Literally, if I type in Rey v Pal, one of the first responses is Rey v Palpatine, but better. So hold on. Let me. It's a really quick here. There you go.
Oh my god.
Because they add more to it too. They add more.
Dude, calling Ben the last Skywalker is a fucking stretch. I don't appreciate that they did that. I don't appreciate that at all. But actually no, like I'm gonna agree with Jordan. That scene that I just watched from that clip that was fan made or whatever, way better than them just like saying like the fucking their one-liners. Way better. Like I would have respected that more, even knowing that that's pandering to the fans. That's straight up fan service.
Here's my problem though. In the last movie, we saw that Yoda can use like Force lightning and shit, even though he's just a Force ghost. The Force ghosts just start showing up. You mean to tell me they're really just going to sit back and watch this happen and hope that she gets it done?
Watch the last one that I just posted, and it's after like a minute in is really where
where
they're
basically like amplifying like
they're working. It's literally Father Son Kamehameha, bro. It's it's just like their spirits are there.
Better. This is like super. What are they doing? Dude, she's doing the redirect that Windu did with a lightsaber. What are they doing? They're not using any force powers at all.
Yes, they're helping her.
Helping her what? Hold a lightsaber?
Yep.
This is the girl who, with no training at all, fucked up Kylo Ren. Now she needs help to hold a lightsaber?
Obviously.
Oh my god, Dean, this is way better, so much more symbolic, and it's way better than just having their voices randomly pop up.
Honestly,
it's not.
Jordan,
you're gonna tell me that you don't need an iota of force power to deflect lightning that had minutes before taken out an entire fucking battalion of ships, thousands of ships by itself, and that same power as shown to us, at least as shown. Maybe he did a different force lightning move there. I don't know. Maybe he used all of his force lightning and that's a weaker one. I don't know.
Okay, follow me for a second. Calm down. Follow me for 1 second.
Yep.
When has Rey needed assistance doing anything in these trilogies?
It doesn't matter.
No. Just follow me for a second. When has she needed help for anything? For anything?
She got help from Ben Solo. That one guy was about to take her out.
She needed Leia to help her train, kind of.
Debatable, but she did get training. I wouldn't call that helping her, though.
I
Like,
know
that's just training.
exactly what you're saying, but yeah, that's the flaw throughout the whole movies where Rey has been the perfect protagonist.
So I'm not saying that this scene is better because they were using force abilities as force ghosts. I'm saying that it was purely, if she is the embodiment of all the Jedi, then they are just channeling their power through her. She already has their power within her, right? So the force ghosts being there are irrelevant. But
It's a better symbolic scene.
it's a way more symbolic scene than just their voices, because you then not only know she's all the Jedi, whatever, because she's a fucking avatar, I guess, but you also see it reflected in those, like, that's just one more thing that they could have added in. That, yes, it's pandering, hardcore pandering, but I thought that would have been really, really well done.
It would have been better represented.
Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and try and defend this movie per se.
But
Are you
kind
sure?
of are,
But you're
though.
trying.
No, I'm
You're
like,
playing
being
a good
100.
devil's advocate.
I like the movie. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm not defending it. They still do really stupid shit. But what you're suggesting is just inviting more problems into the plot. For the Force Ghost to just be like, you got this, girl. Do it, girl, is like in line with how they've dealt with the trilogy and how they've dealt with Rey this whole time. For them to then go, well, now she needs our help, blows up everything that they've done up
They're
to
not
this point.
helping her. It's symbolic. It's the same way that Obi-Wan helped Luke. It's the same way that Force Ghosts have slightly intervened in moments, because the Jedi that they're helping already have enough of the ability to conquer whatever challenge they're overcoming. They're just there as a representation that they're with them, right? I know in the scene that I showed, it had their hands raised and it looked like they were using the Force,
Yes.
whatever. But it's a representation of that she is all the Jedi. So she has all their powers imbued within
But
her,
that's
which
not what it. That's not what it's showing, though. Like, it's literally showing them assisting her. We have to then take an additional step, be like, well, no, like, I know that it looks like they're assisting her, but really, what's happening?
I completely disagree. I think it's all symbolic. I didn't get that whatsoever. It's just symbolic to say that she is all the Jedi, and they're backing her. That's all it is.
But again, like, if that's your only intention, then the Force Ghost showing themselves does nothing.
It does so much. That once again, it is pandering, right? Because it's on purpose. It's manipulating you because it makes you believe that your favorite Jedi, your favorite character, is actively defeating Palpatine finally, right? It is a little bit of a manipulation. It is, once again, pandering, but I believe that it's a better shot. I believe that it holds more power than just the voices, than just her doing it by herself. It just, I think that would have been better. But that's opinion. That's just opinion. You can have your own opinion. I think that it is way better that way. But that's not the only thing that they could have done.
My opinion is, don't quit your day job because you're not a movie critic, my dude.
Okay. How dare you?
Okay. Wait, how many hold on, how many likes does that thing have? Hold on. So 847,000 views, 24K like, 550 dislike. So that's a pretty substantial margin of likes versus dislikes.
So they pandered to 24,000 people by your logic?
Well, you better go dislike it, Dean.
That gets me hot.
My point is that, like, it doesn't accomplish anything except maybe to pander to your emotions as a fan. Like, that would be the only thing that it accomplishes.
Yes.
And when you're making a movie, that's a terrible reason to do something.
No, it's not. That's the entire reason this movie does half the shit that it does.
That might be true, but that doesn't mean that's a good decision.
If we're already doing this, then just go to the fucking carp DM. Do the fucking biggest thing you can do. Just throw them all in there. What we're saying,
and in our opinion, is if they're going to do it, it would better be to do it right than just be like, dip your toe into it and shit. Like, if they're going to pander,
they
do it the right way.
They for sure didn't dip their toe into it.
Exactly. Like, if you're going to go that hard, like, give me some fucking Force Ghosts, man. Have Yoda touching her ass, like giving her a nice pat on the back. Good job, girl.
Good
shit.
job.
I don't know, man. Like, I just can't follow you on that one.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Like,
everybody's entitled to their opinion.
I think that not showing it was even more powerful. Because for one, you're watching that scene and like you hear, especially if you don't watch it with subtitles. Like if you don't watch it with subtitles, you hear like Obi-Wan, you're like, oh my god, is that Yoda? Oh. As opposed to them just showing and you're like, oh, look at all the ghosts. And like there's just a different feel, and the reaction from the audience is gonna be totally different. And I would go even a step further to say that a big reason why people like that video so much is because they already had that moment when they watched the movie as it actually exists, and now they're watching that and they're like, oh, well, now I can just see them all, and this. So it's like, for lack of a better way to describe it, putting a cherry on top of the sundae of what they already had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
So I may not have the best memory, but I have a good emotional memory, and I remember what I felt when I watched this. Okay,
I have a good emotional memory.
Yes, it's true, and I remember that scene being very powerful. I remember getting, some chills. I remember hearing the voices. I didn't know all the voices at the time, and I thought it was, all right, this is kind of cool, whatever. 2 sabers, that kind of took me out of it a little bit, whatever. But I was just middling, if not, pretty cool with it, right? Like that, just that in a bubble. Going back and watching this after some random person on Reddit just posted it, I got straight chills watching this. Absolute fucking chills watching it, because they didn't have this doesn't have the voices, it doesn't have anything. It's actually a different, I think it's after the voices come in anyway, right? Like the big part where they have their hands out and everything. Like there's no voices at that point. But this legitimately struck me. This had me in awe. Like, oh my god, this is the feeling that I could have had in the theater if they would have just taken it a step further, or if they would have just done something a little bit different. So
let me ask
I can only go by how it impacted me.
Let me ask you this. How much of that feeling, though, do you think comes from the fact that you already hated the movie?
And so what? The feeling is a mixture of yearning for something better?
Right. That's essentially what I'm asking you.
I don't think I have any basis to deny that, but I also don't think that, because I was always okay with this scene, relatively okay with it. I think that this just made it better. So I think that, yes, of course, there's always going to be a little bit of that. It's like, it's that feeling of, oh, they finally did you right. You got it. So how much of that is influencing my opinion about this re-edit, I don't know, but I don't believe it's a large percentage of it. I think that this is just generally a better way to do it, to capture people like me.
That might be true.
Yeah.
Since I'm decidedly not you, I can't speak to that part.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing that I did want to bring up is his legion of Star Destroyers. Is this not a way better idea than making another Death Star and making a planet-sized Death Star?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Super is.
It's way more practical. But maybe, so I think the only way that you would ever explain it is to be like, well, they didn't have the technology, because you see this weapon start off as a Star Destroyer and then get bigger in episode 7, but then quickly get smaller
in episode 8.
Yeah, and then.
But if it's true that he's been working on this for a while, then you have to imagine that they had miniaturized Death Star technology. Has he been hoarding it?
You know how jarring it was for me when I first watched this movie? Well, all of you probably.
At this point, I can imagine. Watching
this scene, because you have no context, I thought he used the fucking Force to create them. Because you have no idea that Exegol, like, Exegol is a Sith planet, but you have no idea that he enslaved the people there to build the ships. You have no idea that he used the population as the Sith troopers there. You have no fucking clue about any of the actual practical reasons that there's an entire 10,000 ship plus deep armada located under ice. Okay. I literally thought I thought there were like destroyed Star Destroyers for a second. I'm like, oh, did he use the Force to make them? They don't explain any of that shit. They're just like, Palpatine has ships, and each one has a planet-destroying weapon because we've run out of ways to escalate the threat.
I feel like you're focusing on the wrong parts.
Do I think it's cool? Like, wow, that scene was really cool. How they erupted and then from the ice, and they appeared in the sky as this immaculate and ominous armada, and they all have planet-killing weapons. Do I think that all of that, as an umbrella, is a really cool concept and a fun sci-fi movie? Absolutely, it's fucking rad. It's so cool. But I can't help personally to want, like, I hunger for the practical side of those types of things. Like, I hunger for the reasons why he has them. Why is he on Exegol? Why is he a puppet? How did that happen? What happened after he died? Who saved him? Who specifically is Snoke? What's their relationship? How did Snoke turn Kylo more specifically throughout his training with Luke? Why didn't he know about that? Like, the details.
So
I want details.
Let me ask you a question. And I don't mean this as like an attack or anything. This is a genuine question. I just want to know like where your headspace is at.
He's lying, Jordan. Don't fall for it.
No, for real. Why do these questions for you come up now when this has been an issue in every Star Wars movie we've watched up to this point? Like, this is a consistent gripe that at least but to some degree all three of us have brought up in every single one of these episodes.
Because I don't think the scale that I don't
thousands of solar systems.
That's still easily explained. I will die on that cross. That's easily explainable. I don't understand how you guys don't get that.
Nope, it's fine.
But
continue.
The scale that we've had to accept, like the knowledge gap that we've had to just accept, I feel got out of control in this movie. And the reasons why they ended up where they did, or the reasons that certain characters did things, or characters were introduced and went nowhere, it was just a lot of wasted time, and it was shallow. I thought that they just gave us these long, huge plot points and just expected us to just go with it. Because Sidious rose in one movie. It took him 6 movies to do it before, and it took him 1 in this movie, pretty much. Of course, that's hyperbole, right? He didn't officially conquer the galaxy again, but he essentially was a knife's edge from galactic dominance once again. But then just they all can't store the navigation to get out of the planet, so we're just gonna leave him there. Is the stupidest fucking explanation as to why his ships can't leave. But I just feel like I had to swallow a bigger pill with this movie for a lot of huge plot points. And although I had to swallow many pills leading up to this point, I feel like this movie gave me the largest ones. And
Bro, you swallowed
without
those
water.
pills with a smile before now.
We all did. What are you talking about?
I did. How dare you?
I can't believe that you are being so benevolent to this movie. Like, after tearing apart other smaller plot details, and then you're just kind of okay with this one because you just turned off. I'm really surprised. I'm shocked, to be honest.
I mean, I didn't turn off. I think
he just didn't give him the weight that he did.
I think
the other movies.
You sound defeated. That's what you sound. That's really what it sounds like. You're like,
I can't do it. I gotta try and enjoy this as much as I possibly can.
Jordan, how long have you known me? Is defeat even in my vocabulary? Are you for real?
That's why I'm so shocked. I don't know. I feel like you're giving them a lot of the benefit of the doubt, and you're where like the other movies, we didn't have those types of conversations, right? It was picking apart plot details. It was talking about specifics. It was arguing over dumb shit. But there are huge things in this movie that I'm really surprised that you're not being more aggressive about.
Well, let's talk about it. What's a big issue that you have with this movie?
We've already talked about a couple of things. The dyad being one of them, and you looked at the canon of it, and I guess you accept the canon, but I mean, you didn't really fight too hard on that one. Just Sidious being back
I
at all.
accept the canon for all of the past movies. Like, it is what it is. Like, they can say whatever the fuck they want, and like, that's canon. What am I gonna do? Be like, no, you need to change that, Lucas. You're wrong. Well,
we argued for like 30 minutes about fucking Tyrannus taking 1,000 star systems into
it's stupid and doesn't make any sense.
This whole movie's stupid and doesn't make any sense.
They don't explain it.
They don't need to.
And that's
that is
fine.
The smallest
like, that can
thing.
be canon. Like, their canon could be like, well, Darth Tyrannus himself knew how to teleport through the Force, and that's how he was able to get to all those planets. And I would have to be like, that's stupid as hell, but all right, I guess that is what it is. And like, I'm not saying those things in this episode, but I still think that a lot of these things are stupid. Like, for them to just be like, well, they have a dyad in the Force. The fuck do you mean they have a dyad in the Force? Why has that never come up before? What the fuck do you mean they can suddenly use Force healing all over the place? Why didn't they do that before?
Yeah. And it's just like, it didn't take any training. It's just like they inherently knew how to do it. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, we're good.
I guess what I was going to say is, I think with this movie, while I still have all those grievances all over the place, there's just something that's a little bit more fun about it, to where like, it doesn't bog down the rest of the movie for me. Like in episode 8, there's almost nothing about episode 8 that I like. That whole movie from front to back pisses me off, and it's stupid, and it spits in the face of Star Wars. Like, that is a movie.
Luke, yeah.
That movie had to almost have been made in a vacuum for how egregiously insulting it is to Star Wars and the legacy of those characters. Like, what they did to Luke is idiotic. It's
what about
so
what they did
unbearably wrong.
What about what they did to Leia?
In this movie, hold on. And in this movie, they turn that around and go like, okay, I was wrong. My bad. Let me catch the lightsaber instead of throwing it into the ocean this time. Let's pull the X-Wing out. Exiling yourself is not the way. And like, he reverses everything that happened in episode 8. I'm not gonna lie, there's probably a part of me who's like, well, I mean, like, they're kind of shitting on episode 8 in this movie. That's kind of dope. But like,
yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, they definitely did. They like went out of their way to shit all over 8. I really do feel that too.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, there's so many things in this movie where I was like, there's just moments like when Palpatine, like zombie Palpatine, gets carted out on this fucking mechanical arm and shit. I was like,
Palpatine.
Dude, I was legitimately like, that's fucking cool. He looks like a badass, and he just comes out of nowhere. And at first I was like, I don't know about this, man. Like, how's Palpatine just fucking here? What do you mean the dead speak? Motherfucker's dead and he's just here. And then he goes, the dark side is a pathway to things that are unnatural. I was like, fair enough. That's a fucking badass callback to the prequels, which they didn't have the balls to do in the other two sequel movies. They tried to act like the prequels don't fucking exist.
Yep.
And so like, it's little things like that in this movie that, like, even though I have all those issues, they keep bringing me back. I'm like, well, I mean, that's kind of cool that he conjured up Star Destroyers out of fucking nowhere, and now they have Death Stars on them. It doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they just straight up pandered to your nostalgia.
They got him.
Called back to the good points. Shit on episode 8, basically make it like a non-factor in this movie. So I get it. I understand.
Like, they did they did the things that the previous 2 sequel movies were trying to do, but they did it correctly this time. Instead of like, oh, look at the training droid that they had on the Millennium Falcon, throw that in the trash. They go like, let's raise up the X-Wing off of this island. That's how Rey's going to get out of here, even though she fucked herself. And it's also a callback to Empire Strikes Back. Like, that's fucking cool. That's a great way to do that. And they just nail those little landings that stack up and add up over the course of the movie. Now, there are major issues that I have with this movie. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, why the fuck does Kylo Ren fuse together the same stupid mask he broke before instead of just getting a new one? Why does he have chimps make his mask? I don't know. Why are Lando and Chewie bros now? Chewie fucking hates Lando for what he did to them. Like, all these things don't make any sense, and they're kind of stupid, but the movie just kind of nails the landing enough to make it okay for me. I guess.
Just enough.
Just enough. Like, I can't sit here and tell you it's a good movie, Jordan. I'm not going to sit here and defend a lot of the stupid shit that's in this movie. The dyad thing, you're totally right. Comes out of nowhere, kind of stupid. But if I have to accept that Rey has been this Mary Sue bullshit character for 2 movies,
perfect protagonist.
For him, and Kylo Ren is like this ridiculously powerful Sith now and shit. For them to go, well, the reason for that is because they have this rarely seen connection through the Force. I'm like, well, if I have to accept that, I guess that makes sense.
Okay, I really do feel like the roles are reversed. I really do feel, I really do, like this episode is the strangest of all of them. I feel very out of my element because I hear myself talking. So here's the thing. Let's talk about the Exile, okay? And I'll give a perspective which I was convinced would have been yours. They went into that.
Wait. Hold back up. What are we talking about?
When Rey went to exile.
Okay.
So they went into this movie thinking, okay, we have to pander to everybody as quickly as we can. We're bringing back the X-Wing. We're bringing back Force Ghost Luke. We're bringing back Porgs. You know, we're doing it all.
I will say, when I saw a fucking Porg, I nearly lost it. I was real mad that they showed that fucking thing to me again.
So literally, Rey gets Kylo destroys the Wayfinder. They fight. She kills and then revives Kylo. He comes back as Ben. She feels that Leia dies, and she jumps into Kylo's ship and flies and immediately exiles herself. Immediately. You hated that Luke exiled himself after everything that happened, and you believed that he would have never have done that. The Luke that we knew and that we grew up with through 4, 5, and 6 would not have abandoned everyone after all of that shit went sour. But Rey just fucking ran away. And right when she ran away, literally that whole scene was about 5 minutes long. She landed, she burned the ship, she throws the lightsaber, you get a cool little Force Ghost Luke cameo that has like Hayden Christensen type long hair. I don't know why I felt that. And then they have a little dialogue. He tells her about the other Wayfinder, which the Wayfinder perfectly fucking connects to an older X-Wing. It's a Sith artifact. Okay, cool. That works out. No problem. He raises it up, panders the fuck out of you. She goes about her way. She went through a significant character development that it took Luke decades to experience. You're okay with that? That part fucking astonished me. When she's supposed to be a Mary Sue, she's supposed to be on everyone's side. She's fighting for everybody. She's infallible, and she's supposed to be the hero. And she exiles herself because Leia dies, and then she just runs away, even though she just saved Kylo. So leaving no resolution there. Like, what's any of the motivation to that? And then she flips immediately and then goes to freaking Exegol right away alone to fight Palpatine. What was that? That was fucking neck breaking.
So you're forgetting one thing. Rey's a fucking terrible character.
Yep.
And to your point, why was I not upset with this when I was upset about Luke? Because they're totally different characters. Rey can do whatever the fuck she wants because she doesn't have a defined character at this point, other than missing her parents, which we found out in this movie have been dead the whole time, which we kind of already knew. Like, Rey doesn't have any, like, she's a Mary Sue and she really wants her parents back. That's it. Luke went through a 3-movie character arc and landed somewhere where we know exactly who he is. So for him to do what he did and then exile himself over it doesn't make any fucking sense because it's not who the character is.
Yeah.
So we've seen no character development like that with her at all. Going through all of episode 7 and all of episode 8, we've come to accept that her character, after 2 whole movies, would be to immediately exile herself. And that's why.
No, I'm not saying that that's a good decision on their part, but what I'm telling you is, like, to compare that to what happened with Luke is apples and oranges.
But that's the thing, is like, with everything that's happened to Rey, she doesn't have any real remnants of that affecting her personality or how she interacts with other people. That's the problem with her being a bad character, in my opinion, is like, none of these major events that would scar and totally shape the personality of anybody else who would go through them, any regular human being, and she's just basically perfect, like unaffected by all of this. And that's the problem I have, is like, she gets nothing from it. It's like, she didn't even seem really phased by, like, oh, my parents were the son and daughter, like the son of Palpatine, and I'm a Palpatine. Like, it really didn't seem like it affected her, other than like when she saw her Force ghost on that whatever fucking planet where she got the Wayfinder. But that was about it. That's like the only thing that is like, oh, this actually seems to have like done a number on her, but like she got over it pretty quickly.
But saying that she's just written as a bad character, so it's okay to do that, that's not an excuse. That was a terrible idea.
I didn't say it was an excuse.
It's not, but I'm just saying, like, what he's saying is, like, there's nothing that can really be done since Rey is just a perfect protagonist.
Yeah, that writing, like, so what I got from that entire exchange was J.J. Abrams wanted Luke's X-Wing to be involved somehow. And they said, how are we going to do it? Well, it's back at the planet that he exiled himself on. Okay, well, let's bring her back. Why does she go back? She's upset and wants to exile herself. Oh, that's perfect. Let's have Luke talk her out of it and then just send her on her way. Okay, yeah, well, we can add that in there real quick, 5 minutes, and then we'll have that badass scene of her flying in on the X-Wing with Luke's helmet on. Like, that, like, I understand that, oh, it's fun to see the X-Wing. Oh, it's fun to see a little bit of character development there. But I saw that as what I believe it was. Hardcore pandering and just shitting on a character in a story to just get those scenes, to just render that shit out and make people happy. Like, it just fucks the whole story.
I really think that you're devaluing what goes into writing a script. Like, it's not that easy. But
I think that it is not that easy, but I believe that there are a significant number of decisions that are made that way. They have large at storyboarding. They have large portions of ideas, and they have them all scattered out. And they said, oh, we really want to bring the X-Wing. How are we going to do it? We have to bring the X-Wing in. We have to. And someone jammed it in.
Make a movie, man. You write
yes,
a script
it is.
first. You don't just like throw ideas at the wall and then write a script around them. That's not how you write anything.
It makes me feel like that's what they did for this, though.
You can have those disparate
you make
ideas.
That argument for episode 8, I think.
Yeah, you definitely can.
Like this movie is a lot of like fixing what got fucked up in episode 8. Like, a lot of this movie's runtime is devoted to fixing Rian Johnson's fuck ups.
You're right.
And I think that this is what I'll say. I can't really imagine a much better way that he could have tried to fix it. This is almost about as good as it could have been, given what he was working with. Maybe he could have done little things here and there that would have been a little bit better, but on the whole, this was about as good as we were going to get.
I think I disagree with that. I don't have a counterpoint. I don't have a better story, of course. But
Clearly.
I don't, no one does. So I'm not going to cop out and say this is the best way to do it. It's not. This is not what we deserved. I think that there could have been a better way.
That was a cop out, bro?
I'm saying it's easy to say, well, this is the best that they can do because we have no other better example. There has to be a better way to do this. They didn't have to choose the Palpatine route. They didn't have to include all these other complex layers and story points to pad out. They didn't have to have the Wayfinders. They didn't have to have a lot of the different things that were involved in this movie. They could have cut out a lot of the chaff, and they could have actually put in decent character moments and not bullshit scenes like the fucking Leia scene that they randomly cut to. The whole optimism line, remember that? It's like, well, why don't you be optimistic? That was the most cringy thing Star Wars has almost ever done. That and half of C-3PO's lines in this movie. But I think it could have been way better. I really don't believe that this is the best we could have gotten. I think this is the best we could have gotten if they wanted to go with that exact story, but they could have done something different. They could have chosen a different path.
Bro, I think you're way too hard on 3PO. Like, way too hard.
No! Oh my god, no!
It's like every episode now you're shitting on 3PO.
We have always shit on 3PO.
I have not always shit on... You guys keep shitting on 3PO. In fact, last episode, I think it was, I said that he's one of my favorite characters. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
He has like 2 lines in episode 8.
I need sound bites or I don't believe it.
Yeah, I'm going to go get the receipts. That's a lot of listening, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but...
They're out there. I'm not going to go find it for you.
I'm probably not going to go find it either, but it has been an ongoing theme that we generally shit on C-3PO. And I don't think that C-3PO would have had his personality in this movie being like, R2-D2, we're best friends. That seemed very uncharacteristic.
Bro, I said that 2 movies ago in episode 7.
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember disagreeing with you, but I mean, yeah, that felt weird, and just everything about C-3PO just felt weird this movie. And it was a lot of his dialogue were just forced, and all the humor was forced. I
legitimately was moved when they wiped his memory.
I wasn't, because like many of the other plot points in this movie, it had absolutely no weight at all, because R2's got a backup, even though they went out of their way to say that his backups are infamously bad, which I call bullshit on, because in episode 8 he just used a recording of Leia from episode 4 to persuade Luke. So I don't know where he gets that, but
I mean that's a recording, not a backup. Blow.
That was one of the many times in this movie where they introduce a tragedy or they introduce a critical plot point that seems insurmountable, and they quickly circumvent it. The most egregious, and what I remember really pissed you off.
I know what you're going to say.
Was the Chewie scene.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's okay, so here's the thing. The problem with the Chewie thing is that they... God damn it. There's so many things wrong with this scene. First of all, how did they just capture Chewie like that? What the fuck, man? Like,
so easily.
Chewie, like, they just turn around and then Chewie's in chains going up a ramp. It's like, what the fuck happened? How did he get captured? But forget that for a second. Not only did I not have a problem with them, like, oh shit, she accidentally used Force Lightning because she's so great that she's just like accidentally shooting powers out of her fingertips now.
I liked that. I actually did. I did like that, yes.
God damn it, of course you did. Anyway,
I like the concept. I like the concept that
it's stupid, Jordan.
That she used Force Lightning without meaning to do that because she was angry and she used the dark side without meaning to. I like that as a concept. The execution, I did not like.
Anyway, the problem with that is that they turn it around and fix it in like 5 seconds with really no explanation. That's the problem. But I will say that my wife was real upset when she thought Chewie was dead. Like, real upset.
I was upset too when I first saw that.
She was like on the verge of throwing some shit and just walking away. Like, fuck this movie.
No, and like I'm gonna speak to that. Again, it would have been better, in my opinion, is if they left Chewie dead for her to deal with some internal strife over what the fuck she just did.
I
And
honestly, John,
Go
I
ahead.
agree with you. If you're gonna do that, have the balls to commit.
Yeah, and like, dude, like Palpatine, when she finally met with Palpatine, he convinced her to like come to the dark side, and she's like, "You're a Palpatine. It's in your blood. Like, do it." Like, they could have used the fact that she remembered that she killed Chewie and hate the way she felt after, and she's like, "No, fuck you. I'm not doing that." Not just wait for Ben to fucking show up and be like, oh, "Ben's here. All right, I'm not going to the dark side anymore. Fuck Palpatine blood." That's basically what it was. Because she totally gave up. She totally gave in to Palpatine until she felt Ben was there.
I don't know about that.
Nigga, I just rewatched it like less than 5 minutes ago. I know about that.
Based on what, though? Like, what makes you feel that way?
What makes you feel that way? The fact that she's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then when they show a scene with Ben, then they pan to her and she's like, no, fuck you. And then puts the lightsaber behind her back and then gives it to Ben, with her special force powers.
Yeah. So, like, at what point was she giving in to Palpatine?
That scene did kind of grasp me the same way, John. Like, it's kind of ambiguous, I think, because it wants you to believe that, well, I guess you'll never know if she really was going to strike him down and become a Sith because she was so conflicted. But that's kind of what I got from it too, right? Like, she just, like, her hope was regained and she was reaffirmed in knowing that Ben was still alive, and that's when she made her decision to go against him. But it's kind of up in the air a little bit.
You know what I will say? Is I was watching that movie or that scene, and he's like, "You strike me down," and he essentially says, like, "I'm gonna possess you, and you will become evil whether you like it or not." And I was like, he can do that? Like, what the fuck? And then, like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later or whatever, he does like the whole Dementor thing, starts sucking their souls out. I was like, oh well, I guess he can.
Why'd he stop that? Why not just, like, was he full? Like, he couldn't eat anymore? Like, why not just...
anymore. Dude, I had a big burrito before you guys showed up. I just can't.
I thought that was I thought it was, like, the effects of that scene were really cool, seeing his hands grow back and his eyes light up again. Like, that was really, really cool. But why'd he stop? Like, he did the same shit that all fucking supervillains do. He just stops before, like, he can't finish, right?
He just went full Bond villain, dude.
Yeah, he might as well have started walking around and just started postulating and giving his full plot, right? But no, he just stood there like an idiot and just... I did like that he's so fucking... Like, he holds grudges so much that he threw fucking Ben down a shaft and he made a comment about that's how he died, so fuck you, that's how you're gonna die. Like, he's so vindictive.
So angry.
Yeah, he's so vindictive.
I mean, to be fair, like, he got thrown down the shaft of his own super weapon and had it exploded on him. Probably, I think that's pretty justifiable that he's going to hold a grudge over that one for a little while.
He was a little mad. I mean, this movie, like, the entire sequel trilogy was just a lesson in
how not to make Star Wars movies.
It was the Frieza arc. Well, no, was it the Frieza arc that got really bad? Or was the Cell arc?
Dare you?
No.
Never
I'm saying,
compare those two.
Like, taking, like, just like blowing. No, I think it was the Boo saga that really was the worst of it. Like just escalating power levels to extreme amounts. Like, when you really, like, just go out of your way.
Super.
I mean, yeah. By then they were already gone, though. I mean, by Super they were like, "Fuck it, let's just ride this."
They're already gone.
Yeah, like, they're way gone already.
I mean, Mystic Saiyan Gohan,
which didn't even go anywhere. Like, he's just like, I'm super powerful. Oh shit, I got beat.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm super powerful. Got my ass beat.
Speaking of things,
I mean, like, to be fair, like, they have a movie where Goku goes Super Saiyan God. And then they found a way to make that more powerful. Like, Super goes off the rails entirely, which is kind of how I feel like this movie went.
Yep.
Yeah, and something that shouldn't have ever needed to go and escalate itself, the fucking light speed skipping. Why was that introduced? That shit was so dumb. And
you know what annoyed me about that though? Wasn't like the light speed skipping itself, which I mean, theoretically, that's possible. You have to imagine, like, you just don't put any coordinates. You hit light speed, turn it off immediately. It's super dangerous.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't not hitting coordinates. He was doing calculations. He was intentionally skipping to certain parts of the universe. He was intentionally doing it. He wasn't just by the seat of his pants skipping.
If you say so, but regardless of that, the problem that I have with that scene is that they follow him the whole time.
Oh my god! Yes,
that's the real problem, and not like a ship with like experienced navigators and people who like you imagine would be pretty good, and even in the wildest of circumstances, like maybe they could do that. No, we're talking about TIE pilots. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And even with quote unquote hyperspace tracking, is it just an automatic thing? Like,
it would have to be, right?
I have to believe that the only reason that Poe was able to pull that off was because, if we want to look at the whole canon, because of the Solo film, because they put in the memory and the navigational banks of L337. And thank God for quick notes from previous episodes. But they put her navigational systems into the ship, and he's leveraging her knowledge of light speed navigation and just his natural innate ability to be a pilot to do the light speed skipping. Sure. I mean, they really go out of their way to just shit all over light speed in these three films. Like they escalate even that. Like everything is escalated. They escalate even that. It shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have had we shouldn't have had to have that. Like that was just they needed a cool Millennium Falcon scene where they're gonna fly through different environments. They got a good old CG budget, giant space worm, skip Corellia, wherever the fuck they are, and they're just flying around TIE fighters and cool shit's happening. It's cool, sure, but it just feels like everyone can do whatever they want at any time. And it makes me sad.
Oh man. This
and
movie's great.
And Rey is definitely an avatar. She's like, she spends the whole movie trying to meditate. Well, not the whole movie, but like during her training, and then at the end, she's trying to meditate to talk to previous Jedi, which is never been a thing really. Like if like you communicate with them via Force Ghost, I guess, or you learn that ability. Like I think Qui-Gon learned that ability outside of course of the canon and like some expanded stuff, but like she was like her mission to talk to previous Jedi. I'm like, listen, Aang, do you really need to accomplish that to fucking do what you have to get done? I know that's just kind of weird. They've introduced in this movie so many new Force concepts that just weren't previously there. And I hated the training montage. Oh, one thing I did love though, I actually liked the brief 15-second scene of the flashback where Luke and Leia were actually training. I did enjoy that brief little respite from the rest of the movie.
Like there was 3 hours of bullshit, but there was 15 seconds of that.
I thought, I mean, yeah, I think Luke's CG, okay. Luke's CG looked a little bit better than Leia's CG did, but I thought it was cool. Like that's the kind of stuff that I love. Flashbacks, more detail. The explanation that they gave about how Leia gave up her training because she had a Force vision and she knew the next time someone would pick up her lightsaber that they would use it to do something. I already forgot the line of whatever.
That was pretty fucking weak storytelling. Dude.
Super weak. I completely agree. Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? And Luke didn't talk her out of it? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Leia's so strong with the Force that Yoda back in the day was like, I would really rather train her. And yet she's just like, it's fine. Somebody else will do
it. Yeah. And Poe was like, when they came back from the initial mission and they had that really super awkward dialogue between Finn, Poe, and Rey when they were meeting for the first time again back on the the resistance base, and they were like kind of yelling at each other. She was complaining about the light speed skipping. He was complaining about her training, like doing Jedi training and not being out there, because she's like, "You're the best fighter we have." I'm like, is she though? Is she the best pilot? Like, is she really the best pilot the entire resistance has? I don't think they've established that.
He didn't say pilot.
He said fighter. You're right. You're right. They did say fighter.
Yeah, you're right. Like, to be fair, like, she's useless in a ship.
As we've seen so far, she's not the greatest in a ship. Yeah, she gets lucky. Force helps her out a lot. Just being a Mary Sue helps her out a lot. Oh, speaking of ships and piloting, I thought it was cool. Dean, I do agree with you that it was weird seeing Chewie and Lando so pally with each other. But then cut to my boy Wedge on the cannons. That was cool. I did like that little brief cameo.
Wait, what? Wedge is dead.
No, they had Wedge on the cannons in this movie. It was Chewie and Lando were flying when they brought the whole armada back onto Exegol. They flashed to Chewie and Lando in the cockpit, and then shooting the cannons was Wedge.
What? I could have sworn that Wedge died. Who am I thinking of? If it wasn't Wedge, somebody.
I mean, Wedge has been alive the whole time.
I'm so who died?
I mean, there was Biggs. Biggs dies. Like,
yeah, I know. Biggs died.
Like,
I'll never forget that Biggs died.
Oh, and this movie also gave us fake Akbar.
Yes, it did.
And they never even
Akbar.
Like, they didn't establish him as like, oh, this is the son of our great fallen, Admiral Akbar. They didn't like establish him at all. It was just, oh, this guy looks like him. And next scene,
it's a trap.
It's trap.
You know what? They should have just thrown that in there too. They're already pandering everything else. They should have just thrown that shit in.
I would have been okay with it at that point. Like,
Palpatine should have just, like, as he was opening up the skylight so she can see her friends fall, the same paralleling freaking Luke and him doing the same thing in Episode 6. He should have been like, "Oh, look, a trap," or some shit like that. I would have clapped. I would have stood up and clapped in my seat if he said that.
Fuck yeah.
I'm looking through my notes now to see if there's anything else I want to bitch about. Oh, when they there was a brief moment with Kylo and the Knights of Ren walking around. When I complained about the stormtroopers were the only thing that let you know that they were the Knights of Ren if you didn't already know, they missed that opportunity to explain who they were, because they didn't explain them throughout all three movies. So you just either know or you don't. Thought that was a missed opportunity.
Damn it! No, can't.
Did you like that they brought Lando back?
Nah, not really.
I mean, I was just kind of.
How could you not love Billy D. Williams? What's wrong with you?
I was okay with it. I mean, I wasn't like, I was just okay with it. I wasn't like, just freaking out. I was, all right, Lando's here, cool. I thought he was okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And then him and Chewie were like super happy to see each other. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. How dare you?
How about that now iconic desert chase scene when they're on Pasena? I think that's how you pronounce the planet. And they're just so happen to arrive at some kind of event that only happens every 42 years, C-3PO says. But when they're getting chased on the speeders, then they fly up, and then everyone has to fucking, like, Three Stooges, all of them, they fly now? I hated that. They had it in the trailer, and I cringed in the trailer for the movie, and I cringed watching it both times that I've seen the movie now. Like, humor like that really, really just puts a nail into me.
So you're a big fan, that's what you're saying.
He loved it.
I'm only a quarter of the way through my notes. Let's find more. Let's dig it out.
The angriest Jordan of all time.
Let's see. C3 knew about the hex charms, the Sith symbols, the whole. Oh, we didn't even talk about that. C3PO just dangling the fact that he knew where it was, but I can't translate it. Sorry. Sorry,
So
guys. I dare not speak it. What is this fucking parcel tongue asshole?
Not dare not. Mechanically unable.
Thank you. And then the rest of the group doesn't have any fucking problem with bringing his ass right to an illegal droid smith and tearing it out of his memory. They don't even. I feel like there's no moment where they're like, is this really the right thing to do? Is this ethical? They just ship his ass right there. It's only at the very end that they start to feel slightly bad, but they had to go to a whole fucking new planet and everything, and they were on board.
They didn't know that he was gonna, between quotes, die from that until the little alien dude tells them that. Then they were like, oh shit, wait, what? No, we can't. And in fact, not only that, but one of them was like, we can't do this, guys. Like we can't just murder C-3PO for this information.
Oh, but they steamed ahead.
Well, yeah, when C-3PO was like, well, there's no other choice. I've made my peace. Let's do this. What are you going to be like? Nah, C-3PO, fuck you, dude. We're not doing that.
What's funny is that they do that, and then immediately afterwards, Rey senses Chewie in the ship. Like, literally the next scene is her sensing Chewie. And like, oh, he's alive, actually. And she's like, oh, the dagger. Oh, shit. And then they're just like, guess it was meaningless. Because they could have got it. I don't know. Maybe they could have got it read by something else besides C-3PO. I'm just guessing at this point. Did you guys like the new droid that they introduced?
No! I made a note of that. Like, why the fuck do we need another droid? Why is there a new droid in every movie, man?
Oh, speaking of really good droids, actually, there's a droid named BD-1 who is one of the main characters in a Star Wars game called Fallen Order that I really believe that you should play, Dean. Fallen Order is a beautiful solo.
So unfortunately, we lost Jordan, and he cut out. And we're not going to be able to continue on.
Is that how you feel? Jesus Christ. I thought you actually did that on purpose.
I did do that on purpose.
How dare you?
You are a son of a bitch.
How dare you?
How dare I? How dare you? Stop bringing it up.
Play Fallen Order already.
Again, if you want to pay for it, I'm happy to play it.
Oh my god, it's worth the full price.
It might be, but I don't have money to throw out in left, right, and sideways, and I don't want to play it right now. So unless you're going to buy it, I'm not playing it. Yeah, because I want a PS5. I want to play Miles Morales. I want to do these things. I don't want to play Fallen Order right now. So again, unless Jordan's going to buy me a copy, I don't want to do it. So it's not worth $60 or any other amount to me right now.
Where's my phone? When's your birthday? I have to find some.
April, man.
Oh, shit. I should have given it to you back then. Well, maybe you'll get it for... What's the next holiday? Halloween.
Just imagine
people
Jordan
give gifts on Halloween.
Rubbing his nipples every time he looks at the case to Fallen Order.
Every time I open Steam and I see the thumbnail, I immediately get a semi. It's a great game.
Just flicking his nips.
I believe you. I just don't want to play it right now, Jordan.
And I'm
flicking his nips till they're as hard as icicles.
Like you swear to God, like it's over there sitting on my shelf, and I'm just like, nah.
I mean, you have done that with a couple games.
More than a couple, but like this is not that. Like if I owned that game, I would have played it a long time ago to shut Jordan up.
You should have bought it when it was released.
I was playing something else at the time, though. I don't remember what it.
That November was pretty packed. Like, I do remember that was a pretty busy time.
When did that game come out?
Last November.
Was it last November?
Yeah, there was a lot of other big games that released.
Game releases 2019. Let's see what came out in November. What was I playing? Must have been something good.
I think Pokemon. Did Pokemon not come out in November?
Oh, that might have been it.
Yeah,
that might have been.
I'm pretty sure Sword and Shield came out. Yeah, like I remember that being a real busy time.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
They came out on the same day, and there was no fucking way I was playing Star Wars over that.
Yeah, I mean, I still haven't played Sword and Shield, although I do own it still.
Oh, speaking of Pokemon, how do you feel about those announcements, Dean?
So, speaking of Star Wars,
Oh, for real? Damn, son.
I did actually enjoy. I did enjoy Rey's mind trick on those two stormtroopers. Like, you're happy we're here, and like, oh, thank goodness you're here. I actually thought that was kind of funny. I got a little chuckle out of that.
yo, am I the only person who thought that Leia's lightsaber was fucking cool though?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like that's
You
that's like one of
mean-
the best lightsaber designs yet.
You're talking about our handle design, right?
Yeah. It was pretty
yeah.
cool.
It was nice. I liked it.
And
All right.
You can
when
make a
Rey
very similar
finally-
lightsaber, actually, in Jedi Fallen Order. You can make lightsabers, and you can actually make a lightsaber that looks just like that too, I
I
believe.
swear to God, I'm gonna kick you off this show, Jordan. One more, man. On a lighter note, Rey made her own lightsaber, and she's got a yellow saber.
Loved that. Loved it. I actually really, really loved it. And if I'm not mistaken, her lightsaber looks like it was a dual blade because the emitter looks the same at both ends. So that usually
No.
is indicative of a dual blade saber.
I think you're right.
You suck my dick.
But the
That's what you do.
yellow's a good choice. I don't think that was the first time that we've seen yellow in a Star Wars movie, but I could be wrong. Maybe like I feel like we
If
saw
we
yellow
have
in the
seen it
Clone
before-
Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we had seen it before, like it was a background character. She's
Yeah.
definitely the first character of significance that had one.
I liked it a lot. I thought that was a awesome choice. Yeah, I thought that they could have actually picked a different color for Leia, but whatever, blue's fine. That's fine.
I mean, it is what it is.
okay.
At least her hilt was cool as shit.
Yeah, it really was.
I also like how for Rey's, like she doesn't have a stupid button or whatever. She like turns the knob,
It's like a lighter.
kind of. It's still cool though.
It is
It's
very
just-
cool.
It's really like the ease of use. It's just there you go.
It's almost
Yeah,
too
it's fine.
easy. Like you would accidentally ignite it like way too easily.
Oh, hers is not a dual saber.
It isn't.
Here, let me. Can I? Holy shit!
I looked at it in the movie, and both the top and bottom looked identical. So that I just assumed that they were both emitters.
Oh my god! I just want to.
Stop, dude. Fuck.
I just want.
You're a piece of shit.
There we go.
You're a piece of shit.
There we
Alright,
go.
cool.
Oh, see, okay, I didn't see the very bottom of it. I think that's what I was
Yeah.
missing.
Yeah, no, like I thought the same thing until I looked it up just now.
Kind of hacky though, right? Like
Yeah.
a little bit of a hacky saber, but I like it.
It looks fucking cool. Like when you look at the real thing or whatever. Like this is possibly the most practical hilt that we've ever seen. Not counting Clone Wars.
Leia's was pretty practical. I mean, it had a pretty firm handle. I mean, like towards the emitter was a little bit, little
Let's take a
extra.
look. Leia's lightsaber. Yeah, you gotta go. I mean, but even Leia's got these weird fin things coming off of it. Like it's more practical than most, but still holding that thing would be wildly uncomfortable.
I agree that most sabers, like holding them, they have to be super uncomfortable. I can attest to that because I actually own a lightsaber
God
that has a
damn it,
similar
always bragging,
similar
man.
handle to that.
Wait, are you talking about one of those legit lightsabers?
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
I've got a Sith saber though, so it's not like one of those.
I don't
Dumbass
care. Like,
Jedi
I mean,
ones.
I actually respect you more for getting a Sith saber. I think Sith sabers look way cooler than Jedi sabers, most of them.
I have a red, purple, green, and a white kyber crystal, so I can change the color.
Of course you do.
It's cool. The white one sounds awesome, actually. We should play when you guys come over next time.
What the?
That was a joke, team.
I don't believe you.
Oh, you mentioned something in the chat that I wanted to talk about too, about how Lando had a kind of a creepy interaction with the stormtrooper chick at the very end of the movie. I believe
Oh,
the
yeah.
canon is that she's actually his daughter. Am I wrong about that? I remember reading that somewhere that she's actually Lando's long lost daughter, and they just left that out of the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if she is, then that was a hell of an omission.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
That's directly in line with the way they've been given information thus before. So.
You're not wrong.
Hold on.
Star Wars confirms Jannah is not Lando's daughter.
Okay. All right. So it was just a rumor. So then it really was just kind of weird. Well, let's find out where you're from. All right, creepy ass old man. So then that's even worse then. It's just weird dialogue. So, okay. Talk about the 10-second kiss too. We already kind of talked about the kiss. I'm assuming that you're talking about Kylo and Rey. We talked about it. Whatever. It's a Disney movie. It's what happens in Disney movies.
Yeah, I just think out of all
Disney movie, he says,
out of all the love interests like that you could put together, is like Kylo and Rey was the furthest from my mind. It just didn't make sense to me. It's like,
I got it, but I didn't feel. I don't know.
I wasn't excited about it. Like, I was like, oh, that happened, and then he's dead, so I'm happy about that. So I guess it's a win-win.
The sequel apologist that I know, who really does know more about Star Wars than me, vastly more. I will admit.
Man.
Not you, you bastard. She actually she really didn't like that Kylo Ren died there. She thought that was a stupid decision. They both should have lived.
It was a stupid decision for Kylo Ren to have a redemption arc.
It was a stupid decision to create Kylo Ren in the first place.
Yes. I'm a romantic.
I mean, again,
I am. I understand.
Yeah, you sure are.
They used him incorrectly. That's my problem.
I don't even really know how to defend it. Like, I get the love story. I get the redemption. None of it it felt really hurried and it didn't feel earned. That's my main
his
issue
redemption arc was like all of what, like 10 minutes? Like, oh yeah, I murdered like planets and civilizations and
millions of
like
people.
That.
Millions.
But
billions.
I'm gonna help you out real quick for 5 minutes and like I'm gonna be redeemed. It's okay.
Yeah,
I don't
guys
think
are forgetting how good this movie is.
I don't.
Shut your whore mouth, Dean.
I mean, I'm okay with them making him redeemable because that's just the Star Wars. That's just part of Star Wars. Is irredeemable characters becoming redeemable. The one thing that Star Wars has never done right, and I'm trying to go through my head and think about this, but I'm pretty sure they've never done a love story right. They ruined it with Padme and Anakin, and they really screwed it up with Kylo and Rey. And then there was no love story in the original trilogy.
I mean, there was that one scene in episode 8 where he just goes bare-chested for no reason. She was pretty flustered.
Oh, can you please put on a shirt? Nah, got this thick ass slab going on.
Oh my god!
We saw a thick boy Kylo. We saw a wet boy Kylo in this one.
Yeah,
he was all wet and he
just looks like a butchered slab of beef without a shirt on.
And this movie, when he was coming out of the water, he looked like the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. So awesome.
I like how after the first movie they were like, "You don't need the helmet anymore. Fuck, you don't need a shirt. Just do what you want."
No shirt. In this movie, they should have went a step further and just been no pants. I wanted a full Sith underwear scene, just black underwear. Let's do it. No, is that only my fanfic? Okay.
Jesus Christ! I will say that might be another win for this movie for me. They put the helmet back on Kylo Ren. Like, no, we fucked up. Put it back. Put it back.
Yeah.
Meld this thing back together and put it back. It's like it's almost like everything that I was like, man, I really hate this about the sequels. They were like, all right, we got you.
Let's fix that. Yep. It's like they were hearing your cries, your pleas, Dean, and they were answering them as best they could.
It really was everything to just undo 8. You could almost, You could skip episode 8 if you just had a friend sit with you and go, okay, so Luke's dead and the Resistance was kind of destroyed. And
you're 2 things in. You're like, what happened in that movie?
no, I'm thinking of like critical things that you have to know going into episode 9.
See, that's the problem.
I think that's it.
Episode
Snoke's
8,
dead.
Episode 8 didn't really do anything, and like it was literally 2 hours and change of a fucking space race chase scene, and Rey getting pseudo training from Luke Skywalker, and that's it.
Drinking titty milk.
God, it's so bad.
Yes.
Oh, something else I want to talk about that
Titty milk?
they bring up. Yeah, let's do it. You want to make a new podcast? We can just talk about that. No,
I would say
no, definitely not.
that. Never mind.
Why,
I'm not going to move
why
forward.
don't breasts squirt out chocolate milk? That's my question.
So anyway,
why did they tease Finn's force sensitivity, but they never do anything with it? And
bro,
why was this only
not
thing
even
that
a
came out in
tease?
episode
They just
9?
like slap you in the face with it.
And they really like. I kind of like my own headcanon going into episode 9 was Finn was already kind of force sensitive. I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of felt that a little bit from the 2 movies, but then they just shoved it in
So
your
glad I
mouth
didn't take a swig of
in
water
the 9th
before you said
movie,
that.
and then they did nothing with it at all. I'm here to rock your laptop.
Fuck
all
that,
right, if your
dude. I'm about
laptop
to
is still
dip this
working after this
motherfucking
episode,
all
I have
the
not done
rice.
my job.
Oh Jesus!
All the rice.
You know what? You know what?
Yeah,
I didn't
like
though?
that they didn't go anywhere with that.
Why is there
I
still
would've
like a
liked to see
giant
something.
chunk of the Death Star hanging around?
Yeah. I mean, the special effects from the mid 80s would lead you to believe that it was completely obliterated.
Not
but I
even
guess
lead you to believe. Like there's
parts of it
nothing
still
left
survived.
after that explosion. Like, unless you want me to believe that that explosion was so powerful, they just rocketed that giant piece of the Death Star directly into that planet. And yet it wasn't destroyed when it impacted the ground.
Yeah.
All right.
Science.
And the throne,
I mean,
the throne with that room on the side that she needs to go in is thankfully perfectly intact. And super
Sith
easily
secret room
reachable. That's very
Science.
nice of them. And the power's still on.
And the power's still on.
We'll
or
just say the
that
power's
was
still
a
on, 'cause
force
who
thing.
cares?
I don't know.
Science.
That's a worse explanation than the force.
Palpatine scienced the fuck out of this movie, man.
No, Palpatine protected it with a force field. That's how he did it.
He didn't protect himself, but he protected that room.
Oh, of course. Yep. He was just so busy. He knew that someone would make a dagger.
No, dude, his Machiavellian schemes had schemes on schemes on schemes.
It.
He was just like preparing everything for this moment.
You're right. Gosh.
We're not on his level, bro.
We're just so dumb we don't understand it. That's the problem. We're not. You're right. We're not smart enough to really enjoy this movie. We're not.
Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dean's sitting here
Don't
200
pander
IQ
to his ego.
90s piddle paddling around.
Both of you low key did it without even realizing.
Yeah, basically.
You both like talking shit, and then you're like, wait a second. Oh fuck, what have we done?
Well,
what have we done?
But why? Speaking of the Death Star, can we just talk about how fucking stupid that dagger scene is? Like she just knows how to use the dagger all of a sudden. Knows exactly where to point it. And for some reason she's like, well, if I put it right here, it points to this. That's where it is. Based on what?
Dude, like that's the biggest fucking leap in common sense. Nobody would have fucking guessed that. Nobody would have fucking guessed that without a clue or a hint or anything. Nobody would have fucking guessed to do that. None.
like I said, that shit's a Power Rangers plot. That's some stuff that you find in Power Rangers for them to find the new Megazord, and they have to use one of their stupid ass spark emitting weapons. I'm shitting all over it, Dean. I'm sorry, and they have to like hold it up to some relic area. I know you love Power Rangers. I'm using them as a negative example, but it's just such a weak, especially when you think about it. That dagger would have had to have been made not only with that explicit intention, but it would have been made decades ago. So if any part of this derelict, destroyed Death Star would have shifted or eroded or have been salvaged, God forbid, because they already even talked about salvaging other First Order parts in that exact same scene when they were fixing the Falcon, then all of it would have been moot. They wouldn't have been able to use the dagger whatsoever. It is such an incredibly lazy thing. I would have them rather have been like, okay, there's every Wayfinder has a secret radio signal that it emits, and there's only one or two devices that can hone into the secret signal. So you have one and Kylo has one. I would have preferred that storyline than this dagger has weird
Does
cuts
it though?
that match
Like
up to
the scene
Death
that they
Stars
show us, like, isn't
crashed
even
location.
that it lined up to anything. She just randomly points it over there and like, that's where it is.
It did.
Let's
It
take
did line up.
look.
It did. It did. It lined up, and then the little curvy thing came underneath, and that pointed to exactly where she had to go. But the actual part of the Death Star that was in the horizon did map up
I'm
with
watching
the
this
cutout
scene
of
now.
the
Okay,
dagger.
she whips out the dagger.
But you can
She
find
stares at it longingly. Somehow knows that this side pulls out, not the other side, which looks identical. That's convenient. Okay, then she looks at the Death Star through it. We don't see what she's looking at. And now she's looking at random rubble. Moving over the random rubble. Then she points at a really random spot.
And it comes down.
It's not exactly, it's not
You
lining
kinda
up
see
great,
it.
but I kind of see it. Dude, you know how good the guy who made that dagger would have to be to make it match up like that? Like, that's an unbelievable feat.
These writers probably thought they were so smart too. They were probably
best.
like, dude, oh my god, so get this, bro. So this Jedi hunter was hunting Rey's parents. Okay, get it. All right. So he's using this dagger, and he's like a Sith elite, like loyalist, and he knows where this Wayfinder is, right? So he's gonna hide the location, but he's gonna keep the location on the dagger that he uses to kill other Jedi and other Force sensitive people. So he's gonna cut out the dagger, and he's gonna point to where the Wayfinder is, because maybe he'll forget where it is himself and need to reference it later, or someone else needs to find it later. I don't know, but man, isn't that such a great idea, dude? And she'll hold it up. Like, I feel like they just had the scene in their minds, and that's what I mentioned about the X-wing. Like, they started with images in their minds, and they said, "What if she held up some Sith relic, and it showed her the location to where the Wayfinder was?" That's where it started, right? Maybe it wasn't even the Death Star. Maybe it was just she has a Sith relic that shows her visually where something is on the planet when she gets there. Maybe it's like a mountain range or something. And then it adapted further from that, and they're like, okay, well, mountains are boring. Let's show the crashed Death Star. And then one reasonable fucking guy in the room was like, wait, hold on. So this guy's going to make a dagger over some ruins of something that could have been salvaged or eroded away after decades when this is actually going to happen? And they're like, yeah. But it's the Death Star, dude. And like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea, though. It's not really practical. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? No, dude, it's the Death Star. And then J.J. Abrams walks in the room after getting Starbucks, and he's hungover, and he's like, do it. That sounds great.
Like,
and then they just move on and
before
never
we
fucking
move
talk
on,
about it again.
Where is it actually going to be in the Death Star? Oh, in the throne room. What? Doesn't this seem awfully elaborate,
right?
just to put it in the most obvious place imaginable? Shut up, you're fired, Craig.
Yeah, it's
They all probably
it's just behind a
they
toilet.
all
Some
took
random
out ribs
toilet
and
on the
sucked their
Death
own
Star.
dick after coming up with that idea.
Jesus.
You almost made me spit on my keyboard that time.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I was
dude.
not expecting
Nothing
that.
like self-induced fellatio to show you how good you are at your job.
Auto fellatio.
Ooh, how about that sweet ass?
Is there anything else that I want to complain about?
They had
I'm going through my
mines?
notes.
I don't know how I felt about that. Like, it's just like
The one where
Wait,
Kylo
hold on.
Ren
like-
and Rey were fighting
one?
like in their mind space thing.
like Rey was in Kylo Ren's quarters, and Kylo Ren was on the planet where they met the droid, the black market droid guy, to wipe C-3PO's memories.
They weren't. I mean, they weren't fighting in their minds. They were still physically connecting to one another because the explanation is the dyad has them like physically interacting with each other.
Do you
So
know how
their
stupid
sabers
you
were
sound
still
right now,
hitting.
Jordan?
At least that's the impression that I got. Yeah, real fucking dumb. So it should have never been a thing. I'm well aware of how stupid this
It's
sounds,
still
but
really cool, though.
should have never have been a thing that existed. That I'm not
I
that
thought it
butthurt
was
about
cool
that
that
scene.
they
I think that
finally-
scene's okay.
when they
It's
were
fine.
like outside and in the rain and getting pounded by waves and shit, and they were totally fine or whatever. That
I like that a lot. Well, they were jumping
that
over
they
the
were
waves.
like using the force to block the lightsabers.
except for
I was like,
Mike
why
and
has
Ohio.
nobody done that before?
Oh,
Like catching the swing
I-
before it reaches them. Yeah.
dude, I was taught. Oh, yes. What's so funny is that I remember Matt and myself having conversations about that years before that movie and going, why don't they incorporate that in the Jedi fighting? And I finally got it when I saw this movie. It was really fucking cool. I only did it twice, so whatever, but it was a really cool idea.
Speaking
and
of a
something
really
that I'm
cool
glad
idea
that,
that I was
that they
glad
brought
that
in.
they brought in. How about that scene where like they're jumping into the Falcon after they were doing that espionage, and like the engines from the Falcon blows everybody over, and except for Kylo Ren, who like is bracing himself and shit, and then Rey's just standing there, totally unaffected.
I thought that scene was really cool. I understand how Kylo could use the Force to plant himself, I guess. I think the explanation is that Rey wasn't directly in the path of the engines, but from the shots, it looked like she was.
But
like,
she
would have
wasn't
been
impacted at
impacted
all.
the
She's like,
most
oh
out of
shit!
everybody.
There's an
so
engine. It's almost like she missed
I know,
her cue,
that was
and they
weird.
just went, "Fuck it, just put it in the movie anyway."
Just keep it in there. Like, we're not going to make any edits on it. That's perfect.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the rest of this movie? This is the least of our problems.
Jesus Christ.
And my man Hux is
Let
a
me see
spy now.
here. I think.
No, that was the dumbest thing they could have
then
ever
dies
added.
immediately?
Like, why?
I
It's
knew you'd
like,
love that.
Hux
That was
is a
so
spy
lazy.
because he's so butthurt that Kylo Ren is supreme leader. Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, no offense.
I just want Kylo to lose.
Anybody that we've
Fuck
seen in
you.
prior movies that gets to that level of leadership in the Empire is like a nationalist. They have pride in their job and in the Empire. They would never do something like that. Even Hux, like, who we know is a sniveling piece of shit, you're still taken aback by the fact that, oh yeah, he's the traitor. I was like, wait, what? No. I would rather some random no-name stormtrooper decides to defect just like Finn did. I would accept that more than Hux doing it just because he's throwing a tantrum hissy fit. It's like, okay, you helped the rebels destroy the Empire. That means your position is null and void. Like, it has no meaning. And you basically screwed all the power that you held over. Dumb. fucking stupid. I'm glad they shot him so immediately because it was super retarded that they just added that plot point and nobody thought to question this. But it made it more dumb that what's the guy's name that shot him? Fuck, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's he's not an Empire nationalist. He's all over just slobbing on Sidious's knobs like, yes, Supreme Leader. Like, yeah, he already knew Sidious was still alive. Admiral. He was not surprised at all. Like, he'd been working for the man ever since day one.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that makes it worse. You made a bad decision worse. They're just so into the fact, like, if we make a bad decision, we lean into it hard. We don't back up. We don't backpedal at all. We lean into that shit hard as fuck.
Except for Zori.
You know, Zori is such a stupid, brief character.
Literally says, "I want to see your brains to kill Poe in the snow,"
and then,
which is like the most violent thing they've ever said in Star Wars.
Yeah, and then they spend 10 minutes together, and then she gives him the thing that she fought for years to get and to save herself, just on a whim. Absolutely. And I actually liked her helmet. I kind of got a little bit of like a Samus vibe from that. I was like, I kind of feel like Samus Aran here a little bit. I don't know. But like, just talk about another neck snapping freaking plot that just zips by, right? Goes from wanting to kill him to giving him her most prized possession, like her key to get off of that.
That was
and
a bit
then
of
coming back
pattering
in
as
the end
well.
and
It's
saving
like,
them.
Everybody's fine. Everybody that you connected with is fine. Don't worry about it. Nobody died. Nobody died that you cared about.
Yeah,
everything's great.
There are no consequences. Next time on Teletubbies. I liked her character. I kind of want a little more of her, but I think that's just because I want a Samus live action thing. Can we talk about
the fact that they did her character
I don't really
better?
Have much to say.
Just the fact that she never took her mask off, unlike Kylo Ren.
She only briefly. I think that's why I got the Samus Aran vibes, because you only briefly see her blonde hair,
but that's
and
through her
eyes.
mask.
Like, ooh, Samus. That's it.
But yeah.
Oh,
he was cool.
I liked Bobo Frick. I thought Bobo Frick was a fun little droid smith of a character.
They can make toys out of that guy. Like that's the only reason he was made, to make toys.
The most basic ass character imaginable. And you guys are like, yeah, he's pretty sweet. I like Boba Frick.
That's because he's fucking basic, Dean. That's because
they didn't.
He just does what his role, and then he's there. Like, he's just like, Baba, you, yeah. Like, that's it. That's it. And I'm okay with that. But if you had. But if you had a fucking race of those things taking down, stormtroopers and overthrowing the Death Star, I'd have a problem.
Here it is.
I'd have a serious problem.
Oh my god!
Call them the ankle biter.
Of those
ankle biter army.
Oh, it always comes back to the Ewoks.
I'm just saying, like, you see where I'm coming from with this. Like, you introduce a cool, like, not even a cool character, just like an interesting character. He's funny, quirky, and like has like one-liners and has a cool little voice. And then like you bring him back at the end of the movie. It's just like, oh, he's still alive, and that's it. You don't make him the overthrower of this massive empire that's technologically superior in every fucking way. You don't do that.
Yeah. Well, Dean, did you have anything like our, because this is our last Star Wars movie. Did you have anything, that you wanted to talk about like our entire experience?
Your entire experience. So have at it, my dude.
I didn't have anything planned. Well, I wasn't sure if you had anything planned, if you had like some questions that you wanted us to answer or anything like that. But I am curious as to, did you learn anything? Did anything surprise you? Was it worthwhile going back and watching all of these movies over the past 5 months. I don't know. Like,
5
what was
months.
this? How do you feel about
Real
us going
long
through them all?
goes. Yeah.
How long's it been?
Not even
3,
'cause
4 months?
episode
4
1
months?
wasn't even. It was episode 2, so
Yeah.
a little bit less. But I found out that episode 9 is my favorite Star Wars movie now. So that was cool.
God, I hate
mostly because I get to drink your salty tears when we talk about it.
Okay, Eric Cartman. Yes, I love
choke
the
on my
salty
salty
tears.
tears.
Yeah. Tastes so good, you guys. You know what? I was surprised throughout this watch how I would hate Ewoks so much.
You and
Like
me both.
I never thought about it until like I was watching the movie. It's like,
Me too. Yeah.
why? How the fuck? It would basically be like I wake up
Sons
one
of
morning
bitches.
and my 6-month-old daughter just comes out of nowhere and just starts beating my ass with no remorse. That's basically what that's equivalent to. Just straight up gets me
Dropping
in a full
logs
Nelson
on you.
and calls me a baby back bitch in my ear and just starts like beating the shit out of me, like gives me the rock bottom. And I'm a 6'2", 225-pound man, and she just handling my shit. That's how I feel the Ewok introduction was in the movies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that all?
Yeah, that's about it. Like, I was by most of the movies, I wasn't surprised about my reactions to them. Certain points, yes. Like episode 3, I got over my hatred of it because I could understand his motivation, but it was still dumb decisions abound. But like, I can appreciate each one of the movies for what they were trying to do, even though if they did it poorly. But that's basically all I could take away from it. I mean, it was an experience, definitely.
Interestingly, I think looking at my list, the only movie that surprises me on where it landed was 9.
Yeah,
All the other ones, when like if I look at that list, I'm like, I probably would have put it there or somewhere thereabouts if I just made that list haphazardly at any rate.
without rewatching it, yeah.
Like if you told me like this is your list without rewatching whatever, I'm like, yeah, that seems about right. Except for 9, what the fuck happened there?
Like, you look at that, it's like, that's wrong.
Like,
What
somebody hit
liar
the
did you
wrong
put
button.
and made this list? Oh my god.
But I think it was an interesting experience. Because there's a lot of like I didn't realize before how, for lack of a better word, terribly made these movies actually are.
I'm not even gonna say terribly made. I'm just gonna say, like, full stop, terribly written. Like they could have done better, and you could say that about everything that's made, I guess. But like, going over the talks that we've had, like if you listen to like the podcast and everything, and like us talking about the movies, most of the pain points is from the writing. Most of it is from the writing,
or rather the lack thereof.
exactly. And it's like the setup and exposition is like the reason I hold certain like mangas and animes that I love so dear is because the setup and the payoff from the writing is just superb. Like Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho, like dude, like all like The Promised Neverland, which I got into, which is just still fucking good. Like the lore from that is just amazing. But it's those kind of things that you have to hold dear and have to pay attention to if you're going to praise a movie. Like, yeah, you can praise a movie for being a cult classic because it's campy bullshit and it's funny as hell to watch. But if you're going to praise a franchise like Star Wars, and something that's hold so dear by so many, like, you have to put in more work and effort if you're gonna make something like this that's supposed to be qualified as a masterpiece. Like, you can't just fucking phone it in. And I think that was the major gripe that I have, is I felt a lot of the shit in Star Wars that I didn't really pay attention to on my first watches or subsequent watches before this run. um it just felt like a lot of parts were fucking phoned in. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't think it through whatsoever, knowing how so many people hold this franchise just dear to their heart, like it's fucking sacred, and they didn't even take a second to think about what they were actually writing and about to put into canon.
So busy thinking about whether or not you could, you didn't stop to think if you should.
Exactly. It's like, oh, we're gonna make an ass ton of money off of these movies, but what do these movies actually represent? Like, they never thought about that, and I feel like that's a major folly on their point. Like, don't get me wrong, I do love the movies. I love Star Wars for what it represents, but if I'm gonna be critical about them, they are very flawed, more so than I would want to admit, and I just have to accept that.
Yeah, more than not, they are flawed.
I don't know if I would
But
agree with that.
They to your point, I mean, I would say the bottom half of my list aren't, like, starting at, I would say the last, I would say 7, 2, Solo, 8, and 9. I would say all of those are definitely flawed movies. I wouldn't say they're bad. They're, maybe some of them are worse in the context of Star Wars. Like, I said 9's a good sci-fi movie, not a good Star Wars movie. And there's a big difference there, because I grew up with Star Wars. Star Wars is extremely important to me. And I do feel a little betrayed when they make decisions like they've done in the sequel trilogy. I'll tell you the one thing that I learned rewatching all of these films is, before this, and Dean knows this as well, I was a hardcore prequel hater. Like, it was just, it's cool to hate on the prequels, right? Because it's almost like a safe
It's a
space to shit on.
space
It's
to
just something that
shit
people
on.
know because they've heard
He's
it from
not
others.
wrong. He's
Yeah.
not wrong.
No,
It
he's
is.
not. It's just fucking hilarious to hear
It's-
somebody say that out loud.
It's true, because it's one of those things that culturally people understand because they've heard it from others, and they don't invest enough time themselves to see if it's true or not, right? So most people that have watched all of Star Wars, if you just do a blanket poll and go, what was the worst trilogy? I would say maybe most might say prequels. Now might be a little bit different, but I would say before episode 9 and episode 8, I would say the vast majority would definitely say the prequels were going to always be the worst. But definitely after rewatching all of them, they really surprised me.
Like, Disney was like, "Oh, the
I mean,
prequels are the worst."
3 and
Hold my beer.
hold my beer. I mean, I think that all the I mean, the memes of, there's a whole freaking subreddit just for the prequel memes, and they're hilarious. All of them. The culture of that entire subreddit is fantastic. But I mean, every single prequel film outside, well, 7's above 2 for me actually, but even 7 and 2 are, for me, are really close. But 3 and 1, I mean, 1 probably rose the ranks highest. I knew I liked 3 a lot, but 1 being over 6 and 7 for me was a big deal. I thoroughly enjoyed episode 1. I love that episode of the podcast. We had a lot of fun watching it. The movie kicks ass. And my top 3, 5, Rogue One, and 4, those I kind of already knew. Those didn't really change. I knew I really loved Rogue One so much. I knew that was going to be my second, 5 being my number 1. But I have a much greater appreciation for the prequels than I thought that I would. I thought I was just gonna come out of all this still thinking the prequels were the worst, but they are by far not the worst Star Wars experiences. They're some of the greatest moments, actually, are in the prequel films.
Hello there.
So Yeah, I definitely don't regret watching all the movies. I definitely had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a long trek though. How many? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 movies. It's a lot of movies,
so
man.
we
I'm
should
not
do
really
the
a movie
Marvel
watcher
Cinematic
too.
Universe next.
Oh,
No,
hell
please.
no.
Oh god, we won't be done till 2021.
Nah, dude.
I can't do the MCU mostly because it's still ongoing and it's getting more complicated now. I don't even really know what to watch.
Bro, this is the best time to do it though, because they delayed the only MCU movie this year until next year.
Black Widow.
Black Widow?
Yeah,
Which I was actually excited to see.
I kind of was too. But yeah, they delayed it until next year. Like, there's no better time than now.
I've seen all the movies.
Nope.
It's just the stuff after the Infinity War, like the smaller Marvel stuff. I don't know if that's all. Like, I'm not sure what's canon or what's like what if stories and things like that. I know
They're
there's
releasing
the.
that later. The
I know there's there's Loki. There's the Scarlet Witch series. I forgot what it's called though.
Vision and Wanda.
WandaVision.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that one.
So is all that stuff is canon, right?
Yeah.
It's going
Okay.
to be, yeah.
I guess I'll watch it. I don't know.
The
So
trailer looks great for WandaVision.
yeah, it
weird.
does. It does.
So yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, man. I would say it was very enlightening to go back and rewatch these. Even though I don't feel like my personal ranking of the movies changed a whole lot, I learned a whole lot about why I feel that way. I almost feel like now I have more context as to why I felt the way that I did. Except for 9, which was way better than I thought it was. It was
insane.
Certainly better than
I just
Solo.
I just can't believe that you put it above 6. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, did.
I can't believe you put it above 6, but
Not only above 6, but also below Solo.
Dude, Solo was such like a just non-factor of a movie. Like, we basically talked about it for maybe a total of 15 minutes throughout the podcast.
I thought that I would be a
bad.
lot. I thought I'd be a lot more impressed with Solo, but after rewatching it,
no,
it
there
was
wasn't
just
really
an
anything.
okay movie.
Like, even the forced Darth Vader. Like, I didn't notice that it was Darth Vader. Darth Maul. After, like, during the Clone Wars, and I was like, oh, in the hologram, he actually has like droid legs and shit, and I was like, oh, it makes sense now, and I'm just like, still not interested enough to like pay attention.
That's my favorite part of the movie. That and Chewie.
Yeah, it's fucking.
I thought Chewie was fantastic. I mean, we talked about it last week. Let's just have a Chewie movie where he's the main character, and the whole time you just got to infer what he's talking about.
I'll take a Chewie movie all day long.
Hell yeah, Chewie movie sponsored by Snickers.
Do it. You act like a Chewbacca when you're not eating a Snickers.
Bro, I see the ad campaign for it now.
It writes itself.
It does. Let's make it happen. Let's call up Snickers and go, hey, can you buy the Star Wars IP so we can make a Snickers movie about Chewie? Oh my god, that would be so fun.
Gentlemen, do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap up the final episode on Star Wars?
If anybody else would take this journey, I would not suggest that you do that. I honestly would probably say you should watch the MCU universe.
Whoa.
Over the Star Wars franchise.
Damn.
Whoa. Really?
Just for the fact that even though MCU is like, as a whole franchise, in my opinion, is better than Star Wars, and the movies themselves stand alone a lot better. Like, yes, there are outliers, but the vast majority of MCU movies stand a lot better by themselves than Star Wars.
There's also twice as many of them.
I understand that, but even if you like pick and choose the same number of MCU movies as Star Wars movies, including the worst ones you can think of, MCU would win out.
Damn,
I think if you're comparing, I think if you're doing the comparison for the same time window, Like, let's compare superhero movies back in the 80s. How about that? And we'll see what comes out on top.
No. Superhero movies back in the 80s did not reach their high point until Blade came out. I will say this, without Blade, we would not have the MCU.
Blade or Spawn. I actually love the Spawn movie.
Is Spawn part of Marvel?
No.
Spawn is not. They're Dark Horse, I think.
Yeah. But I will admit, like, the Spawn movie is cheesy, good, delicious fun.
Blade's Marvel?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. In the podcast. In the podcast.
Oh, come on. That's so...
No, end it now.
That's not common knowledge.
Before Jordan digs himself into a further hole. I love you too much to let you do that, Jordan.
Oh my god. Thank you for using my Swedish name, by the way. Jordan.
Jordan.
You're so mad at me for not knowing that.
No, it's more that I've had way too many shots of vodka, so...
I think that if you were to compare the newer Star Wars movies, because they're the only ones that can really stand up to the production value of the MCU absolutely, like, the worst MCU movie, No, I'm not going to go that far. But I think that as a whole, it's absolutely better. I think that the MCU is possibly one of the greatest cinematic experiences that has ever been made, like, throughout its entire career. 22 movies ongoing, right? I think that it's the largest and most daring endeavor ever, movie-wise.
Yeah.
So I think that it's hard to compare them. But if we're just talking about, let's talk about sci-fi, not superhero movies. I still think that if someone today wants to get into Star Wars and they haven't, I definitely still think that it's worth it. I say you're going to do yourself a disservice not watching Star Wars. So just go ahead and do it. If you don't want to watch any of the side stories or the side movies, go ahead, skip them if you want. If you don't want to watch the sequels, whatever, but at least watch the original trilogy. And then I would say if you liked that, definitely watch the prequels. If you liked those, definitely watch the expanded movies. If you liked those, then watch the sequels. I would recommend that last.
And definitely don't watch them in numerical order.
No.
Yeah.
No, that would be so jarring. You have to watch them in release.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's gonna do it. I almost feel kind of sad.
Really?
Saying goodbye to Star Wars.
Laying this to rest?
Not any bit of relief. Don't lie to me.
I don't know. We ended on such a high note that, like, I feel like... As always, before we go, if you enjoyed this and you're on YouTube, be sure to drop us a like and subscribe as we drop a new episode each and every week. If you're enjoying us on your favorite podcast service, drop us a review. It really helps us out. And don't forget to come and chat with us in the Discord. And as always, have fun out there, guys.